Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It is 7:03 on the East Coast of the good old USA. And hey, welcome here to us tonight. It's another show and tell with Dadman tonight. We're going to call this one, especially the show and tell, the Empire Strikes Back edition. So, hey, been looking forward to this one. Been a big anniversary, I will say. Today marks the 43rd anniversary of the release of this movie. So, it's an inspired day. All of May is really incredible if you're a Star Wars fan, but this day holds particular attention if you're an Empire fan specifically. So, what better day than on the anniversary? So, let me bring in one of my guests tonight that's here. It's somebody that is a really incredible collector. Learn more about all his collections by the minute. So, it's the great Pat S. Hey, Pat, how are you tonight?
Hey, buddy. Thank you for letting me come on and hang. As you know, I am not a prolific streamer, so it's kind of rare for me to come on, but there's so much stuff going on with Star Wars this month, so much exciting stuff and everything and all that. I'm kind of cool with coming on some stuff this month and everything. So and you and I have been hanging for quite a while with Mark. Ever since Mark C started his show. You, me, Steve, and Klob, you're kind of the stalwarts. You get rarely a weekend that at least the three of us aren't joining the two of them, and then of course, Retro Girl and Courtney cop on at times and stuff like that too. So we've actually known each other for a while. So absolutely. I'm actually surprised I've been able to dodge you this long, to be honest.
Well, I'm still learning the ropes, finding different things to do, and finding different people to have on and stuff. Rapidly approaching the football season again, so the summer is a good time for having different types of streams, chill streams, other things of different areas. Besides just
very
sports
true,
ball.
very true. Too bad you're not an NBA guy. You could be totally enjoying the Lakers and LeBron James falling apart, dude. That's just amazing. I might watch that game tomorrow night just because of that. I hate him so much.
Well, he apparently the other day did a big flop. He was not only Academy Award, he was pro soccer type with that. And I'm going to get to the chat in just a second, but yes, this is Pat S, Maddie's daddy. Yes, we are going to be talking some collectibles and stuff tonight. Yeah. I just want to say, well, Steve, I will say, shout out to him. He's a great guy that comes by even if he just leaves a like and says for support. It's great to have him out there and doing that. And now we got a topic. You can hang with us a bit, Steve, and Steve, even if you would like to come on talk Empire Strikes Back, I'll send. Well, you don't have Twitter though. But hey. But if I could get you the link somehow, I'd love to have you too, Steve. Sometime
you'd have to email Steve. I think I don't know how Mark does it. I have to ask him. Mark might just have his number and send it to him. Steve, do not put your email or phone number in the chat though.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, or they use smoke signals, or they do some kind of top secret FBI or CIA type of
Dude, you know it'd be a great show. I don't know if Steve has a lot of his stuff around because I'm sure he's moved quite a few times. I mean, I know for a fact he's moved at least a couple of times because of his stories he told us. Because he used to be from my neck of the woods. He and Clobby go way back.
Yeah.
But he'd be great, dude, for you to have on sometime and just let him show off his artwork, both the stuff he's created and the stuff I'm sure he's collected all kinds of interesting little tidbits over the year of animation stuff.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean that. I tell you what, that's one of the things. See, with getting into stream, that's kind of interesting. That everybody's like so afraid of sports ball. Okay, but but that's one of the areas of passion that I have. But you know what I've liked doing ever since I've gotten into YouTube, even just as a viewer, is watching the stuff that I'm not good at. Like the art streams,
the
comic streams. And that's where I think I'm enjoying a lot and growing more is by actually branching out beyond what I normally like to do into the areas that I'm not an expert. There are better people. Like you said, Steve with his art. Stunning is a great artist who's in our chat. I mean, people like that. I had Lisa on talking about gardening a while back. Raquel with her book, or even barbecue, Clobby with his thing with comics. Just there's so many people that I'm getting more and more exposure to that I like hanging out and I like learning from people. Rod Thunderheart, we talked truck
Yeah.
driving last week. It was awesome to get those stories and those adventures, and that's what I kind of like seeing is, it's easy to stay right where I'm comfortable, but getting out and seeing new things is what I like. And that's what I kind of do with these, show and tells a little more of me, but tonight I think this type of thing that bring more people in to have a better show and we can all share stories. But like my chilling chats and stuff, bring people in and talk to them and get to know them and see what makes them tick.
I'd like to show Steve one time. I don't know if I've even told you this before. One of the big collections the family and I have is we have old cells, like actual cells for cartoon TV shows, much more than movies. We're not movie people. We definitely have like the Hanna-Barbera stuff from the 60s and 70s, and then we have like the 80s TV shows like Brave Star and Street Sharks and the Ninja Turtles. A couple of 90s things too. We acquired a Beavis and Butthead cell from
Beavis and Butthead.
yeah,
All
from the
right.
first season of Mike Judge show, yeah, on MTV. And I just really love to show that to Steve one day and just see what he thinks about it. See if he has any stories like, I know the guy that used to do the storyboard. I'd love to hear that because I bet you he knows somebody, maybe not from the 60s, of course, or the 70s, but I bet you he knows some people that were probably involved in some of those cells at one point because I would think that's a pretty small community,
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
but anyway, dude, we're taking away from Star Wars, man. I'm just
uh,
going on and on about stuff.
it's okay. Well, we'll have to
Yeah.
have you on another time and come up with new topics and new shows to do down the future because we were talking about that a little bit backstage, about things we could do going forward. And like Steve said there, he said that he thinks it's a great to talk to non-artists. They have good questions, and I like that. And that's what I hope to do is learn more in these type of things. So, Steve, I might be in touch with you one day soon. So, absolutely. Let's go ahead and greet the chat before we jump into the movie then, because we got 10 people. We actually got 10 people. We're both on the YouTube and the Twitch side. We got 3 people over on Twitch. So follow us over there. If you haven't already, if you have a Twitch account, follow us over there. We're at 83 followers over there. So let's get the 100 on that soon. Like and subscribe on the YouTube side. Make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe. We're at 253 subscribers as of today. 9 months in. 9 months will be May 19th. So, well, actually, it just passed. So 2 days ago. Yeah. But yeah, it's just time flies. It's been fun. And thank you for everybody for your support. But also having great people like Pat S. and all to support, little guys like me and stuff like that.
A quarter of 1,000's not bad, bro. How are your hours?
I have to read it. I think I got a lot of hours. The view hours. I'd have to look at YouTube. I haven't looked at that part.
Yeah. Make it easy on yourself. Don't even look at it till you hit 500.
That's fine.
But just realize it's a slow climb, especially now because there's so many people out there that have channels and everything. But to be at a quarter of 1,000 right now, I think that's pretty good.
Well, thank you. That's what people say. So I appreciate the feedback. Sure. Yeah, very much so. Especially since I'm doing not really a one. I'm kind of like a sports focus with other things slotted in kind of thing. So
sure.
Which I like. I get bored easily, so I like new topics.
Yeah, my biggest person I work with is Brandon, the anime guy, and you talk niche, dude. I mean, anime, and he really, he tooth and nailed it past 1,000, and he's doing great, man. I predict he hits I predict he hits 2G by Christmas.
Wow, that's
because
cool.
It's weird. It's like once you hit a certain number, it just kind of explodes on you. You have one good stream or one short video that people pick up, and it goes crazy from there. But whenever you're niche like you guys are, it's going to be more of a struggle. But then again, you're going to have a better, more concise crowd of, you know what I mean? It's not just, it's one thing to have 10,000 subscribers, but if only 4 people show up to your live streams, well, what's the point?
I agree. For 200 people, the other night we had like 20 people. We had 20 people, 21 people live chat in at one time, and that was awesome. And to have that many people and they were staying engaged and staying throughout. That's what.
Yeah, that's
it is.
What you want.
So absolutely,
100%, yeah,
exactly. Okay, well, let's say hi to a few people here. We got Wade Nation. Hey, Wade. Hey, yeah. Hey, thanks for being here. And of course, the great, glorious, beautiful Mrs. Dadman Walking 55,
Hey.
who is definitely the IT. She has actually got me on 2 streams when I had technical difficulties on my computer by switching me to her computer once downloading a game, getting it. People stayed in the chat for half an hour with me boomering the whole time, and they stayed with the stream. So it was awesome. So it was great. She definitely keeps us going here, and held back to Maddie's daddy again. Hey. Stunning and Brave Megatron, another great artist here. Ink and Rosalina while watching. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Maddie's Daddy's only on Facebook. So, and hey, you to Brian Hepburn. Welcome, buddy.
Hey,
Good
Brian.
to see you tonight. So, hey, Mr. Fortnite guy, played with him again a little bit earlier. So, and Meg says, I like talking with non artists. Makes me feel smarter than I actually am. Exactly. Let's see. Maddie's Day said, a cell from a teacher once had. He animated Batman 66 opening sequence. Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. And hello to the great, glorious Daisy Blossom. What a kind lady. Good to see you again tonight, my friend.
Enjoy your lurking.
Yeah, exactly. We love lurkers too. So, and that's everybody that has checked in on the chat so far. So, hey, we may have other lurkers. Thank you for here. We got 12 people with us right now. So, all right. Thank you, Pat. All right. Before I go, let's go into the plot. Okay. We're going to talk briefly about the movie as it was and talk about some of the numbers. So, I'm going to take from Wikipedia tonight only because it seems to be reasonable, verifiable. I know you don't put your faith in Wikipedia, but it was close enough for what we need for tonight. But the Empire Strikes Back was actually released on this day, May 21st in 1980. So this is the 43rd anniversary of the release of the movie. It was a highly anticipated sequel. Obviously became the highest grossing film that year, earning approximately $401.5 million worldwide. So, but which was strange, it was saying that unlike its predecessor, Empire was met with mixed reviews from critics. Fans were conflicted about its darker, mature themes than the lighthearted Star Wars. You know, we had the appearance of Yoda, the Muppet, the Muppet into Star Wars, which was kind of cool. So it was nominated for various awards, won 2 Academy Awards, 2 Grammys, and a BAFTA, whichever that is. So now it's actually, like it goes on to say here, it's now critically reassessed and is now often regarded as the best film in the Star Wars series and among the greatest films ever made. It had a significant impact on filmmaking and popular culture, and is considered an example sequel superior to its predecessor. And that's a modern debate. We can talk about that a little bit too. How often the sequels don't turn out as good as the originals. What do you think about that, Pat?
Well, I think it's.
And let me hi to Balzette real quick. Hey, Balzette, good to see you.
Yes, welcome. Well, I think it kind of goes without saying, right? I mean, it's very rare to find a sequel and you could go and watch a ton of videos on YouTube about sequels that were close to even being as good as the original or even just acceptable. I mean, there's very, very few. I mean, of course, the ones that come to our mind right away are The Godfather 2, which I personally, I won't say it's better than The Godfather, but I probably enjoyed it more than The Godfather. I found the story more interesting, and but of course, you're pumped up about it. A lot of people would say Terminator 2 is a better movie. There again, though, didn't that kind of switch genres? Like, right, we go from the first Terminator, which is pretty hardcore science fiction, to more of an action movie. Same with Aliens. Like, I'm one of those crazy people. I like the original Alien better than Aliens, and I think Aliens is great, but there again, kind of a horror sci-fi movie and more of an action adventure when they come out with the second one. So when you look at it like that, that I've named probably some of the best ones, but there's for every one of those, there's also 10 Jaws 2s and Caddyshack 2s. And,
Yeah.
And I kind of even enjoy Jaws too, but let's be honest here. it is a shadow of the movie that came before it, and the ones past that are just ridiculous. So um, where do I think this one falls? I think it's the best Star Wars movie ever made. I don't think there's even a question about that. But then again, I don't think that that's a titillating statement on my part. I think you'd probably find most people that would say that.
Well, we got George Lucas in the chat too. So hi,
Wow.
George Lucas. Hey,
thank you, sir, for honoring us.
Yes. Well, we had a talk a while back with some friends a few weeks ago about Return of the Jedi this month, and a lot of the younger people, a lot of people actually feel Return of the Jedi is the best of all the movies, which is kind of interesting.
Sure.
I like it. It's one of those. I'm kind of like Clobby, where I think it grew on me over time. But I'm going to actually ask a opinion poll question here. I'm trying to get better at these polls on YouTube, Pat, because I have a bad habit of asking a poll but not closing it before we're done. So here's the question. What is your favorite location in Empire Strikes Back? Hoth, Dagobah, Bespin, or the asteroid field? So
that's a good one. I'm going to guess asteroid field does not get a lot of love.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to overlook that, but you know what? It had a lot of action in it. It also was at home of the space slug and stuff.
100%, yeah, man. It's if you're a Han Solo guy like I am, I mean, it's definitely more interesting than even what goes on at Bespin, except for that one part. Spoilers if you haven't seen this yet. I mean, I realize it's only been out for
43 years.
But if you haven't made it yet, that's a lifetime for some people. But I thought that was a pretty great scene. But I can tell you where my vote's going. It's Hoth. I think Hoth. What a way to start a movie, huh? I mean, just honestly, and the toys and the I think that stands out for people probably much more than anything else. It was so different, and just a great, exciting thing. And it lends the story of why do our heroes split up this time? And it's kind of the way that they've really played it in a lot of Star Wars movies since then. It's kind of, isn't that? It's like almost like the all right, we got to separate our little heroic gang up a little bit and let them come back together at the end. And maybe they do, maybe they don't, maybe they lose somebody along the way, maybe they don't. But I enjoyed that part. But then again, I enjoyed the whole movie.
Absolutely. Well, the action on Empire Strikes Back actually takes place 3 years after the destruction of the Death Star. As we know that it starts with them on Hoth, like you said, an ice planet, remote, very desolate. There are things like that, the things like that. What a great way to start, like you said. Vader's searching the galaxy for the rebels, and you come into this thing, just really, you're like, what did we get here? And hey, Dadman, no, Woopa, you're not my father, but welcome in. Welcome in, great Woopa Troopa. So, but yeah, it really was interesting, and I'm gonna bring up one of the toys right now. We're gonna look, because I sorted the stuff by the way we've done it. I'm gonna pull some of these up and down a little bit because since you mentioned Hoth, this is one of the play sets here. The Hoth set with the you see the little ice world there, and that's one of the rebel guns that's on the planet, and of course you have the Imperial probe droid that's there that was at the beginning of the movie. So when we talk Hoth, we're talking about real ice planet situation. So that was kind of cool to see that out there. But what did you think when you first saw this desolate world? What did you think it was going to be like? Some kind of boring movie? It just was like so remote, nothing around it.
Well, I mean, look, you have to remember, when I saw this, I was a little bitty guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid when I saw this stuff. But I was, at this time, though, I was still, even at 4, 5, 6 years old, very much into Star Wars action figures, very much into G.I. Joe action figures. So no, I didn't know. I was probably, when I first saw this, I was probably a little bit more confused. Like, why are they on this planet? Why is it snowing? Is it snowing everywhere? Now as an adult, I ask, gee, there sure seems to be a lot of oxygen on this planet. I can only assume it suffered some kind of devastating event, cataclysmic, ecological disaster and destroyed all the trees, and now it's completely iced over because, man, there's a lot of oxygen on this planet.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I was pretty fascinated by it. Just already with the special effects going on and with the
Hmm.
story with Luke and the Tauntauns, and I mean that had me blown away. And of course, the Imperial droid, what a great, dan,
Yeah.
dan, 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 and
Oh yeah.
Han and Chewie shooting at her, and
Or 3PO. Sir, I am fluent in 6 million forms of communication, and this is not a code used by the Rebel Alliance or whatever
right,
C3PO said exactly like there. But hey, but like you said too, it's different. We'll get to this question, and let's take the question here. Okay, like you
sure.
said, when you saw it as a kid, okay, one perspective, but when you watched it again as an adult, what changed, or what did you think about it as you grew up, as you saw stuff? I mean, you know what I mean. You saw it then as a kid. How do you react to it now? And hello, good evening to you, Miss Martin Muses. Glad to have you here
Yeah,
tonight.
welcome.
Absolutely.
Um, it really is probably one of the more enjoyable movies. It's interesting. I went through a phase in my life where I owned, I'm sure you owned this and probably everybody in chat owned this at one point, but the
Hmm.
golden 3-pack of the VHS movies from the first, from Star Wars and, Empire and Return of the Jedi and all that. I would put Star Wars on every night and go to sleep with it. Like some people would turn on the radio, some people had white noise. That was what it was for me. But when I really wanted to get into it and really watch something, this is what I would put on. I would put on Empire.
Hmm.
And once a year I would probably watch all three of them. Like I'd pick a Saturday, and I'm like, I'm just gonna, I was teaching at the time when I owned that set. Probably a very new teacher, I'm guessing. Probably my first year or two teaching, because, like I said, it was VHS. And sorry about that. Knocked my microphone off.
No, no problem.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I
Yeah,
still
yeah, I can
okay?
hear you. Yep,
Um,
you're coming through good.
yeah, and I mean that was before I bought the DVDs and stuff and everything and all. So I would watch it like that and everything. And I was always a little sad when this ended, because I'm one of those people. I just do not like Return of the Jedi as much as I like this movie, though it's a great movie. It's a great
Hmm.
way to wrap it up.
Right.
I think Luke was much more interested in that movie than he was in the first two movies.
Hmm.
And he's our storyteller, right? He's the guy that we see, through his eyes through most of the story. The droids too, the droids that's an interesting thing that they did with 3PO and R2D2,
Hmm.
where they're that constant, and but there's something about this movie that's just, like I said, it's all over the place, but yet it's not messy,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And the characters introduced in this one too is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you're going through it too,
Hmm.
I don't think this be a great time to ask somebody like Clobby if he was
Yeah.
here. Like, man, I would think that the merchandise for this movie was probably much more than the merchandise for any of the other Star Wars movies,
It
because we
probably
know in the
was because it was on the heel of the
yeah,
original. Because the original is
right.
what took it off, and then this was the next to come
Right,
after
and
it.
the
So.
original, they just weren't. I mean, as a lot of people know, I'm not telling a brand new story here. There were a lot of kids that got a card that
Hmm.
said, "Hey, we promise you, your mom and dad just paid us, I think, like, and the equivalent of today's money, like $100 or whatever. I think back then it was probably like $17 or $36 or something. And here's your Star Wars figures coming, but here's a place card to hold it for you. And this movie, I mean, there's stuff that was coming out, um, you know, 1, 2, 3, because they were just excited about it. 1, maybe 2 years beforehand, kind of giving us hints and everything and all. With seeing like Boba Fett. Now, of course, Boba Fett was in the holiday
Hmm.
special,
Yep.
which is, I guess, according to Lucas, not canon. But it is still does exist, and Boba Fett was definitely
Sorry.
introduced there.
Yeah, he
Um,
was, but still, that was. I finally watched it. Oh my gosh, that was painful.
you
I
didn't
think I
enjoy the
should.
you didn't enjoy the Boba Fett cartoon. I think that's
Oh,
the
I know.
best.
Boba Fett part was the best part, but the
Oh,
holiday
okay. I was gonna
special,
say,
the
I think
holiday
that,
special is of all.
yeah, the
So.
holiday special is pretty rough, dude. But you know what? It was one of those things. It's just that gave us
Hmm.
something to hold on to. I mean, as a
Yeah,
kid, I'm
absolutely.
sure, I'm sure you were like this too.
Well,
Anything with Star Wars that was a book, or a comic book, man, I would
Okay.
grab that up and read it. When we had the book fairs at school, a Star Wars pop-up book. Oh yeah, I'm buying that.
Okay, Pat, I've got to stop you right there.
All right,
Okay. I got to
go
stop
ahead.
you right there because I am dad manning improvising. So obviously the missus is probably going to freak out right now, like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? Because the fact that you said that, that's a point that I brought up. I think it was on the Jedi show we did a few weeks ago because we didn't have DVDs. We did not have. Well, this was at this very early dawning of VCRs and videotapes, but it was not well. It was not out there, not like it is now, where you could
All
just
right.
get stuff and all. I'm going to show you something. Like you said, as a kid, you grabbed those things, you held on to them, right, for
Yeah.
memories, and this is something I've managed to keep on that I loved from day one and all that I had that was used for that very purpose. So, um, this it's the read along book for Empire Strikes Back. It's a 33 and a third, which normally is the big wide LPs, but it's the
Yeah.
small. You would think it's a 45, but it's not. It truly is like a 45 record. You don't even have to have the adapter in the middle of it. It's really truly like a 33 and a
Okay.
third, and you just read along with it. And you turn the pages when it R2D2 beeps, and you go with it. And
I'm going to assume it was an abridged version of the story.
it was, and it had an error. And it had an error because last time I looked at it a few months ago, they talked about Darth Vader on a Star Destroyer Avenger. Well, he wasn't on the Avenger. He was on the Executor when Captain Nita came to apologize. So, anyway, but see, here's the other. See, there you go. There's the back side. See, it's a 33 and a third. There's a small. You can see the
Nice.
back edge of the page, the last page of the storybook there. So, but to your point, when we didn't have those type of things that we have now, we couldn't just grab. Well, when Blockbuster around, we couldn't go get a VT. We could videotape from somewhere. We can't just order off Netflix or HBO Max or whatever. We had to use our memories.
Oh, 100%. And, I see this, and when I talk to my nephews who are good kids and they respect what's come before them and everything and all that. But even as many stories as I tell them of our brother and sister tell them and everything and all, they're never going to truly understand what it was like when we were kids and how much more special this stuff was to us. And they have it better. Is it better now than it was 35 years ago? Technologically, I mean, you're a fool if you say no. But I mean, with the advance you made, it's phenomenal. But as you know, as well as I do when I say this, that stuff was so special to you, and any kind of information you could get,
Mm-hmm.
or listening to it on the radio, or, I
Yeah.
mean, I remember one time trying to convince my parents to let me stay home to watch because Mark Hamilton was going to be on the local
Oh,
news. And he was like, and of course my parents were like, and they were right. They were like,
how
you
about
can't
Carrie
stay home.
Fisher on Saturday Night Live?
There we go.
And I shouldn't even watch Saturday Night Live at that age.
My parents were like, no, we have a VCR. We'll take that for you. You don't have to stay home from school to see that. But, I mean, you can imagine what I did when I got home and watched it 3 and 4 times again and all that. And, dude, I'll tell you this, too. My dad,
Yep.
even though non-com and didn't make a ton of money, he always had a side gig and everything. And when he left the Marine Corps, that's what he did. He was he owned a small refrigeration company and fix stuff, and he was one of those guys that could fix everything. But he would do stuff like he would work for people who couldn't afford to pay him. He would come, like one time he came home and he's like, told my mom, he's like, yeah, that guy owed me $1,000, but he only had like $200. So he gave me this pinball machine, a jukebox, and a Space Invaders game. Well, dude, as kids, we were like nuts. It's like, yeah, Space Invader, and we played that thing for 10 years,
Yep.
But he would do stuff like that. But we always had pretty good technology stuff, like we had a Commodore 64, and my dad would get, he would get tapes and he would buy them. And look, man, as well as I do, buying an original Star Wars, that gold Fox, VHS edition, that was $100, man. That wasn't cheap. And $100 in that day's money, not $100 in today's money. They were very expensive to own. But there was one of those tapes that we owned because it meant a lot to us, and we wanted to see it. My dad liked it, so I was lucky with that too.
Well, looking at this Hoth set real quick, because I want to see about getting another poll set up in a few minutes. We'll give the other poll about 10 more minutes and go. Looks like Hoth has got an overwhelming lead, but that's not surprising to me. But these sets are they were very cookie cutter. You can see the
Yeah.
pegs. That's where the little holes on the action figures' feet would go. This Rebel Blaster here, actually, you could put a man inside the thing and it open
Right.
and closed. You could also put one in the top. It had an opening
Yeah,
hatch.
he would have to sit down in the top. This was
Yeah,
obviously not to scale, guys. I mean, they were
yeah,
much bigger in the movies.
yes, yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. And Brian Hepburn, I remember that too. Muppet Show with the Bespin Fatigues costume.
That's right.
So,
Mark,
absolutely.
I think those were that was the real costume because George Lucas allowed them to come and they actually because they didn't want him messing anything up. They actually had somebody accompany Mark to do that episode of that. They did his hair and everything, and costuming brought their costumes,
Oh,
and they made
wow.
sure everything was returned afterwards and all, including
Yeah,
R2D2 and C3PO, and yeah.
yeah.
So
Make sure you don't lose the stuff along the way. Yeah, it disappeared in transit. So we got 13 great people out here still watching with, hanging with us, and we're talking Empire tonight. Feel free to share some of your memories and your moments and stuff that you want to. Um, there's one thing that we talked about how you hold on to things as a kid. I do want to talk about the 40th anniversary when we're done before we wrap up. But here's another shot of it. We're looking here in Hoth, because in Hoth we had a whole bunch of different things. Here we got a snow speeder, which was used against the AT-ATs, And see,
yeah,
there's another Rebel laser dish here. You can see a small, it's a plastic, not a die-cast Scout Walker. And then here's my Tauntaun, one of my Tauntauns. So unfortunately, it doesn't have the opening belly where you can stick somebody inside of it, but it doesn't. But do you remember these, Pat? Because see, you're gonna
yes,
I'm glad you sent some pictures earlier of the standard AT-ATs, but I also have from Star Wars the Jabba Sandcrawler. But you remember how this is the same base. This snow base is the same one from that Jabba Sandcrawler. It's just different color.
yeah, they
They
would
were
do
very
that.
form cookie cuttered, but this is cardboard. That AT Walker's cardboard, not plastic, not
Right.
metal, whatever. It just those play sets were so varying, and it's
You
just amazing.
you could almost guarantee that Kenner used that for something else too. Like I'm trying to remember what it was. I want to say it was maybe Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or something like that, where they reused a lot of the Ewok stuff as like
Oh, that
as
would make
like stuff
sense.
for
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because that Kenner would be like, well, we own this mole, and why can't we use it for this and that? But
Hmm.
yeah, the snow speeder was really awesome because, um, this is your vehicles. If you
Hmm.
were a kid who owned the original Star Wars stuff, as some people call it, A New Hope, but it's Star
Yeah,
Wars. Okay, let's
I
be
agree.
honest here. You know,
And Han did not shoot first. Han shot. So
yeah, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. That's always the stupidest thing
I
too.
know.
It's like if somebody's sitting across a table from you and they're pointing a gun at you and they're saying, "Well, I'm going to take you outside and I'm going to kill you and I'm going to
Yeah.
bring your body to somebody." You are well within your rights, even within the state of Florida, which has some really wacky gun laws, dude. No offense.
Yeah. Well,
You're well within your right to
well.
shoot
See,
that
I was a
person.
kid. I was a kid. It didn't bother me. He was supposed to be a tough guy. It didn't matter. And then when I went back and redid that
The
and put it
guy's
just
holding a
like,
gun on you. I mean, the
oh,
fact that he pulled the shot off, that's the impressive thing. But
so
what was
yeah. Go
great
ahead.
about this movie, though, this is what I want to hit on, though, was these were some of the things where you weren't having to buy a huge ship that you could actually fit a couple action figures in.
Hmm.
Obviously, the Millennium Falcon, you could do that too, but your
Yeah.
standard TIE fighter, your standard X-Wing fighter, and all that, that was all one canopy
Hmm.
things. But, here you had the
This
Snow
fit
Speeder,
too. Yeah.
the Cloud Car investment,
Yeah.
two sleets, I mean,
We'll see that soon. But yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So these are the neat type of things. So of course we start with the movie. We you know, they are discovered by the probe droid. Han and Luke gets knocked out by the Wampa. That's just probe droid destroys itself. So then we allude to Han Solo sticking Luke in the snow in the Tauntaun's belly to keep him warm. We preview the AT-ATs here now and the snow speeder. So let's see what we And see, now we talked about the Millennium Falcon here. This is my Millennium Falcon from, you know, that had this from I got this one with the original movie, fortunately, but we see it in the Empire also. So let me see real quick. In the chat, Brian Hepburn said the big deal was that his Muppet Show episode aired February 25th, 1980, before the film release. Wow,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
did not know that. I would think
Yeah, it
you.
was a big deal. That's
I'm
why they
amazed
were
they
like,
even. I'm amazed then they even allowed the costume to be revealed. Then.
by that time, I'm sure there was probably a lot of promotional stuff out there and pictures and magazines and stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
at that point. What's interesting about the Millennium Falcon is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, each movie that was released, and they just basically used the same Millennium Falcon. They didn't really
Yeah.
change much in it.
No, there's nothing really to change. It just
Yeah, but
just
I would say probably the most coveted
yeah.
ship from the Star Wars franchise.
Well, Mark always says something when I show this picture, because it's like, I will say my mom took care of me. I didn't get everything, but she got me some really good stuff here with things. So, and Brian is saying that AT-AT that I showed was similar to the Kenner Java Sandcrawler with the base and the cardboard background. Absolutely, yes, it was. And hello to Jess. Hi, Jess. Welcome tonight. Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here, my friend. So, all right. So we get the Rebel attack, the Imperial attack on the Rebel base on Hoth, because, what about, I'm going to do another poll in a couple minutes, but, the Empire traces them down to Hoth, and then they start the attack. What was let's see. Let me go here. This is inside the Millennium Falcon to show people that have not seen it before. You got the gun here, the gun placement for the top turret. You got the hollow chessboard, and they even put in the little the smugglers area.
That's right
for you. So
only one spot though for a gunner.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you had to kind of
two.
imagine the bottom gunner. They didn't.
Yep.
Although I don't know how you would have made that practically, though. But
you couldn't have. It's the same. They don't have a bathroom in it either.
No, no. I love the way these plastic pieces push up, and the bottom leg retracts. So it's always good.
Yeah, that is
cool.
a very cool thing. And there's actually a company, if you ever had to replace your stickers, that make the same decals for them. So if you had to, because for some reason, I don't know, did you find this with yours? The back plasma vent stickers come off real easily. I'm going to assume it's probably because as a kid, that's where you would hold your model while you played with it.
Mine actually stayed on. This is what it looks like still to this day. You can see a little bit of peeling off, but they have stayed on because
I take it you don't have any little brothers.
No, I had an older sister, and
if you had a younger brother, that thing be in the driveway on fire.
I'd have kicked his butt.
They would. He would pour like lighter fluid on and be like, "Oh no, fire in space."
That's horrible. That's horrible.
Little brothers are terrible, dude. I highly recommend not having.
Okay, well, I only have a sister that was older in a way, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Let's go before we let's see what's the next one. We got Han on Hoth.
Yes, with his original blue blaster.
Mm-hmm.
You could see, and his tauntaun.
Exactly. You're going to die before you reach the first marker. Then we'll see you in hell. Oh man, some great lines too in that movie. So
very much so. My tauntaun also does not have the rubber belly at the bottom.
I know. Darn, it's a shame that they did not include that. But
and I don't know about yours. His back on mine, it really takes a lot to close it all the way. It stays a little hinged open like your dewback,
Yeah. I don't know. I think mine stayed shut. I don't know whether I just didn't put them in enough or whatever to really work it or not what it did. So
now let me ask you this. Are you more of now I'm not talking about monetary value or even nostalgia. Are you more of a more modern Star Wars? And I don't mean the movies. I'm just talking in general, the way that they're made and with articulation and stuff like that and all. Are you more of a modern Star Wars action figure, like some of these $30 figures you can get? Are you more of a Powers of the Force guy from like the '90s to the
No, I know.
early 2000s?
I'm all the 70s where they didn't look like they had taken drugs or worked out and stuff.
Yeah, Buffalo.
I like the normal beanpole people and stuff, not the jacked up steroid and the
Yes,
beefy
and
up guys and stuff like
that's really
that.
only Luke and Darth Vader.
All right. Well, let me
Jacked
say
up
hi to
farm
chat
boy.
real quick. JT Kirk, hail to you. Hey, well, be in and out working, get the kids to bed. All right. Well, hey, glad you're here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you vote in the poll, which I'm about to close because I want to get on to something else and get it. Maddie's daddy said Han was definitely justified in shooting Greedo. Greedo just said, I've been looking forward to this for some time. Yeah, it is a direct
That is,
threat.
yeah, Steve's 100%
Yeah.
right on that. That is, I'm going to kill you. Yeah.
Well, I didn't get when Lucas was worried about the perception because it was like, I was 7 years old when Star Wars came out. I didn't have a problem with the scene. I figured that's what a tough guy did, just
Yeah.
that's what it was. And Brian said we had a pool, so the cardboard interior backing on his, along with the stickers, are gone. So,
yeah,
yeah,
humanity, brother. I live in New Orleans. I know how you feel.
exactly.
If you want to keep your stuff really nice, send them to Steve in the desert. He can hold it for us in Vegas.
Well, let me close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll come up with a different poll. We're gonna go ahead and end the poll with this, and let's see what the results are. I think I hit the right button. There we go. I thought I did. Now I don't see the poll. But I don't see the poll. Isn't that funny? Well, Hoth won, I know, big time. So
what was second? Do you remember?
Dagobah, I believe.
I'm
Well,
not
was it
shocked
Dagobah?
at all.
No, there it is. Finally got it. Hoth, 75%. We had 12 votes. So Hoth, 75%, Dagobah, 16%, Bespin, 8%, Asteroid Field, 0. So
I predicted it. Yep.
Yeah. But hey, so oh man, Mrs. picked Asteroid Field and gave it no credit. Oh, darn. And Steve saying that it's true, no rest in Vegas. It's only saving grace. So hey. All right. So Pat, should we do scenes? Should we do quotes or scenes or what for another poll? What do you think? Because I was thinking for a poll.
Well, if you do quotes, what are you going to pick? It's kind of tight.
Okay. Well, let's see favorite scenes.
Yeah, let's see that because you don't want everybody's just going to vote for I know. So let's.
I forgot about that one because there's I am your father.
That's true. That's true. That probably would win.
Okay, let's do this.
We'll do the quotes.
Yeah, favorite quote. Thank you for. Let's see.
But there again, I'm a Han Solo guy, so I'm always.
Yeah.
Though when I was little, were you like this too? When I was a little bitty guy, I was absolutely fascinated by the droids. That was like the action figure I would buy first. I would 100% buy, a Imperial Death Droid than I would buy before I would buy, Luke and Dagobah outfit, or a Y-wing fighter, pilot, because I was really, really, really into that, and then Luke, and then Han Solo. But of course, I was just fascinated by Boba Fett as an action figure. Absolutely fascinated.
Absolutely. See, I like the droids too, and I've not had a chance to tell you. Others may understand this is that, and it goes back to the original movie. Okay, so what is your favorite quote from Empire? Never tell me the odds. I am your father. I know. Apology accepted, Captain Nita. So go vote on those, folks. Hey, the thing with me with the droids though is and I'm sorry, it's a little emotional for me because it's like the people that have been around here know this, but you may not have. And let me say hi to Buddy Hepburn. Hey, for coming in. We got 17 people with us tonight, Steve. Thank you all for being here. Pat. I mean, sorry, Steve. Sorry, Pat. Okay. But we've been talking about Steve so much. But hey, thanks.
I was going to say, Steve. It might as well be Steve's on the panel. We'll just.
I know.
Yeah. Well, we'll just read anything Steve types. We'll just read right away.
We'll have to get him on here once. But yes. But thank you all for being here. Smash that like button and sub if you haven't. So Buddy Hepburn, welcome. And he's got a Galaxy's Edge Falcon. Oh, that's cool. That's neat.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you go.
no Yoda quotes. Not this time. Not this time. But I got two Darth Vader ones for you Vader fans.
We
Yeah,
had to
I know
do or
that could have
do
been a good
not.
one. There's no try. Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
did not. So that's
Yes. All right. And Steve says anytime. I'll be in touch with you though, Steve. Okay. Seriously. We got a trip coming up, but yeah. Because this, folks, will be my last big stream for several weeks. We're hoping to do some stuff out on the road for some live spots around the country that we're going to experiment a little bit. And hopefully y'all enjoyed, take the detours with the Dadmans on the road.
you got to get Steve one weekend too when he doesn't have the kid,
Right.
because it's not fair to take Maddie away from her daddy so that he can come and talk about action figures and comic
we need
books.
to. I will definitely do that. And look at this, JT Kurt's got another daggum great line. My wife and I had shirts made like this. Scruffy, for her. But okay, back to the thing with the droids. They remind me of my grandparents, real life grandparents. My grandmother, lovers to death, was the uptight, jittery, nervous C-3PO. Blah 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 blah. Tom, stop that! Tom, stop it! Blah blah blah. And my granddad was always the hard head. He'd just do what he want to anyway. Blah blah blah. And so they really reminded me of them. And it's the only movie, Star Wars, 1977, is the only movie I remember ever watching with my parents and my grandparents in the movie theater.
Wow. Okay.
And maybe the only time I ever watched a movie in one place with them. And so that's why Star Wars has a lot of the power with me, especially the older type stuff and things like that. And yes, of course, I'm the scruffy looking. Oh, yeah, that's another quote. Yes, we got quotes out. It's such a quotable movie, but, we got that. We haven't even really gotten into the movie that far, and we're getting all these good quotes. But, that's what I like that with the droids. But one of the things that got me at that time, especially being not about 10 years old when this came out, was that Hoth battle scene. And we're going to get to that in a second, but let's look at a couple more of these pictures in here. Here's another close-up of the Tauntaun with the saddle. What's Pat was talking about? Is there like a little swinging door in here where you could stick your figure down in there and ride it on the saddle? This a Wampa. We talked about the beginning, and stunning. That is why I said gave the asteroid field as a location choice, because that whole thing, the space slug, was awesome. And then laugh it up, Fuzzball, was a lot on the playground. Yes. Yeah, and I don't think they are, because they've been saturated with so much stuff. It's become rote now. Everything's got a toy line, and it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't have its value like it does back then, because this was the first. And there are scenes. The Wampa's key at the beginning? The Wampa attacked Luke. We got that whole thing. Luke has to come back, get healed up. Did you know about the deleted scenes with the Wampas? There's a deleted scene where they trap some of the Wampas inside inside of the Rebel base. One of the deleted scenes was that the Imperial snowtroopers stumbled onto some of them.
That's very interesting. So the Wampas definitely were part of the movie even before the whole Corvette summer thing happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I did not know that. All right, I thought maybe that was added as strictly as a reason for why Luke is like that, but I'm kind of glad they didn't go that route. Because, like I said, the external battle, what was going on outside, was definitely, definitely the crowning achievement of this movie, I think.
But these Wampas were awesome. We actually have a Wampa rug that I need to get a picture. Well, we need to clean it up though, because we used it. We use a lot of our stuff, and it's a Wampa rug we got at Celebration one year, and it's kind of a cool thing. And we'll have to add that to the collection when we get it cleaned up. So Wampas are cool,
And by the way, as a kid, terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying. Much more than a Bumble, So
absolutely. So, and we're going to look at some of the action figures that are right here.
That's the commander. You can tell because
Yep.
he's got a mustache and
Yep.
he's
And
more
he's got
wearing all white. Yeah.
the all white vest. Then you've got the rebel soldier, Hoss
Yeah.
soldier with the brown
Which I think
uniform.
is a much cooler outfit. Though Han's outfit's pretty cherry.
Yeah, agreed with that. Now the AT-ATs. What the hell were you thinking when the first time you saw that on the theater screen?
Oh, I just was absolutely amazed. I just thought that's that is impressive. How are they doing this? That looks
Mm-hmm.
really cool. How could you possibly defeat them? The whole thing where Luke does take out two is
Mm-hmm.
pretty amazing. That whole, the special effect, and there again too, and we don't need to go off on this because everybody's going to agree with us. The magic of practical effects. I don't know if we're ever going to achieve that with CGI. I don't think. I think we're just too aware of computers now and what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those practical effects just absolutely amazing. You
Yeah.
know,
And you can tell now watching back, you can tell them, but it's still some of these practical effects are better than the CGI nowadays. I know the
oh,
Missus and I,
100% better.
Missus and
Yeah,
I saw Cocaine Bear. We liked the CGI in it, and then we watched Ant Man, and it's like even she was trashing the CGI in Ant Man. So, but yeah, your point. This was these things were terrifying. This thing to me made the movie the AT-AT forever, with just seeing the big old mechanical things stomping. They're attacking the base because you know because they it just you see that everything with the Empire was big. You had big star
yes,
destroyers. You had big AT-ATs. Now we could pick and now at the technical difficulties, the weaknesses that they would have, but forget that. It's a movie. Big was awesome and stuff like this, and it was just so amazing because it's like you wouldn't expect. How could they take these things down? The armor's too thick for blasters and things like that. It was just really, it really was really. I thought really ahead of its time. It really got my attention. Another thing that got my attention is how would you like to be an Imperial officer serving under Darth Vader?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we saw the seriousness of Vader in the first movie in Star Wars, but this one was like, holy
yes.
shit, you better
And,
watch
and you
yourself.
and you have to remember too, he's completely off the leash now.
Yeah,
Anybody that had any real influence beyond the Emperor. I mean, can you imagine the command structure that was destroyed when the Death Star was
yeah,
blown up?
yeah.
You know,
Tarkin was his main. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. When Tarkin's gone, and some of those other officers, there was nobody else. And the thing is like the reason why they had the AT-ATs attacking the base was because Ozzel came out of hyperspace too close to the planet, and so they were
yep,
aware, put up the defense shield, and so right then, seeing Lord Vader, we deployed the fleet, and you get
yeah,
that out of just suddenly out of nowhere. You have
right,
failed me for the last time, Admiral. And
yeah,
then it's
well,
like, you're in command, Admiral Piet. And it's like, oh, thank you, Lord Vader. It's like, holy shit, what did I just get myself into?
and
There's a
let us not
battlefield
forget,
promotion, but did you really want that battlefield promotion?
yeah, boy, you're not kidding. And the fascinating thing about it now, you go back and you look at that whole Hoth battle. It's basically the hey, go buy us some time, guys, kind of battle.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys that were going out in so speeders, those guys that were manning those big deflector dish guns and stuff and all like that, they were just buying time to get those troop transports away.
Mm-hmm.
Those big nipple guns run by computer.
Yep.
Um, having them do that and everything, but keeping the ground forces basically out of that big ice cave until they could get everybody as much equipment and people as they could into the troop transports and send them away. By the way, troop
Mm-hmm.
transport, did you ever own that?
No, I did not have the troop transport.
That was one of your latter released, much closer to, that was probably that was probably a good year or two after the release of the main stuff and all that came. That was a much later, but a huge playset, very big.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I never personally. That's one of the very few ones I didn't really play with. I don't ever And I knew a kid whose mom, this kid
Mm-hmm.
was very lucky. His mom worked solely at Sears. That was her second job. She had that job and she worked, and we lived about 10 blocks from Sears. So she would drop her son off at school and she would go work at Sears for 5 hours a day during the week. And then she would take her whole paycheck and basically buy whatever the family needed. So if the family was getting an air conditioner or television, she would buy that. And he was the youngest kid in the family. So she bought him every Star Wars thing that came in Sears. So there was a
Mm-hmm.
special Sears variant. Remember, like I think Sears got the remember the Troop Transport where you could
Okay.
fit like four guys on each side. He had that one, right?
Yeah. See, I didn't get that one. See, we didn't have a Sears closer to us. We had a Montgomery Ward's.
Ah, okay.
So it was like Montgomery Ward's, was one place to shop, and Sears was the other.
Well, I
So,
got most of my stuff from maybe Lionel Playworld. Sometimes that was a rarity, but
mm-hmm,
really TG&Y and Kmart was where I got the majority of my stuff from.
mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, look, see, this is the side view of the Imperial
Yep.
Walkers too. There's,
A lot of
a
space in there.
lot of space in it. Of course, we see this in Return of the Jedi when they Luke surrenders. The AT-AT walks up to the loading thing on the platform. Yeah, that was really cool to see there. But yeah, because I always wondered how the hell do you get up and in and out of this thing. So, but yeah,
I'm sure you have to have drop ships, I'm sure. And what you probably do is you probably load into it and then they basically place you on the ground. And I'm sure in the field, what you do is you probably just have the legs lower to a certain thing. And then that door is also a ramp.
Yeah. Well, two
Because,
things. Two things I want to say about the movie before I forget.
sure.
One, we talked about the Wampas earlier. Well, and I don't remember which of the movies which of the expanded universe books it was down the road. They actually brought Luke and I think his former girlfriend, Callista. I think was the two of them were on Hoth for some reason, and they actually went back to the old Rebel base along with some people that were stranded for hunting and basically they ran into a whole bunch of wampas, and even Luke ran into the one-armed wampa he sawed the arm off of. And two, we had the destruction of the energy, shield generator, right? To
Yeah.
drop the shield it was General Maximilian Veers, who was played by Julian Glover. Who do you remember what he played also in a Steven Spielberg movie down the road?
Was he E.T.?
No, he may have been, but specifically, think of Indiana Jones,
Okay.
the Last Crusade. He was the bad guy, the guy that wanted the Holy Grail.
Ah, okay.
So he
Cool.
played General Maximilian Veers. Julian Glover did that, and he also appeared in that role of I can't remember his character name in Last Crusade.
Yeah, you got me.
But basically, General Veers actually died in the book, but then again in the expanded universe he actually survived, but he lost limbs and stuff because of a rebel snow speeder that crashed into the cockpit.
Did you ever see the drawn cartoon of Star Wars Limb Heaven? And it's like everybody's different limbs that got cut off in the movies and in the books, and the back's the Wampa arm. Yeah.
Oh no, I have not seen that.
I'll have to look it up for you, find it, and send it to you.
And yes, folks, the ATSTs were in Empire Strikes Back. They did not just appear the first time in Return of the Jedi. They were very small, walking with the AT-ATs. So you can see it when Luke destroyed the second one and was laying on the ground. So
yeah, obviously much better for deployment in the last movie because Andor being a forest moon, you would want something that's a little bit more stealthy and sleek and thinner and lower to the ground. So it makes a lot more sense. But yeah, on Hoth, I believe they were used as basically scout and troop support as opposed to troop transport.
And they're called scout walkers too. Scout walkers are chicken walkers too. Yeah.
Yep.
So all right, we got that one. We got another one here that also had a raising cockpit. So
yeah, very cool.
That was interesting. So. But yeah, so it's really, really cool, folks. So make sure y'all smash that like button. We got 13 people still here with us. Sub if you haven't. And Then we come into a great scene. They shoot off of like you said, there was a delaying action. The troop transports go. The remaining pilots fly to rendezvous with the fleet, and then we go
Luke,
to
right?
the
Luke can't join them.
no. Luke can't join them, but then we go. The Millennium Falcon blasts out of the out of the base just ahead of Vader, and so what does Vader do? He calls in the bounty hunters.
Yes, he
We
does.
get our scene of the bounty hunters. So one of the scenes was like when I think it was Piet or it was an officer said we don't need their scum here, and then it like Bosk is right here. This is Bosk was standing
Yep.
right over their head, looking down at him like I want to eat you.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Great. I wish I had the weapons for these because the thing that really stands out with the different uh, bounty hunters is their weapons that they had. Ironically enough, with the exception of Boba Fett, do you remember what Boba Fett's weapon was?
He had a blaster, I think a blaster rifle, but he also had that thing on his arm like a
Well, it was
flamethrower and a
yes, he
missile.
did have a blaster. In the movie, he had that cool thing that looked like a really long 357 on a
Yeah,
side.
okay. Okay,
But
that's what you call it. Yeah.
but they didn't make that gun for him when they released his figure in '79. They gave him a standard stormtrooper blaster, so that's what
Ugh,
he had. But
yeah.
Bosk had like a front-handled gun. IG-88 had two guns, a smaller gun and a big gun. Um, what was his name? Dap. What's the D guy with the mole on his face? Yeah,
Dengar.
Dengar had a really long. Do you remember that? He had almost like a sniper type
Yep.
rifle, and
Yep. Then he had Forlom and there was Forlom and there was Zuckus, which looked like a big bug.
Yep, and those were not made into figures until much later on. So yeah.
Exactly. Here's your IG-88. The whole story behind these IG droids are really, really interesting,
Yes.
especially when the first IG became sentient and killed all the masters and started trying to take over everything themselves. So, yeah, that was a cool one. I will say the one redeeming thing of the Mandalorian series that I liked was it the first episode where you saw an IG droid in action.
Yeah,
because this movie with the technology, they could not do anything with it. But watching it in the Mandalorian was just awesome. Seeing them, what I think they envisioned that they could do all this kind of stuff. They were not just static and slow; they were a fearsome fighting unit.
Right, and that's why you guys are seeing a lot of vehicles and play sets with us. But I think hands down, the best set of action figures was from Jedi. I mean, was from not from Jedi or from Star Wars, but was from this movie. There's no doubt about it. The Empire Strikes Back action figures, just the variety and how cool they were and all that are just, they tweaked them just right. Now you're getting like Luke where you could take the lightsaber out of his hands. And now I'm going to tell a story on someone else's stream, so I can't go into great detail. But these are not Boba Fett's from my childhood. These are actually two Boba Fett that I got in a box. My nephews got a box of stuff for helping a neighbor clean out his garage, and he was like, take these home. So we're going through them, and the neighbor's like, this wasn't even mine. You guys can have this. So there's a lot of like Power Ranger toys and stuff in it. I get to the bottom of the box. There's an orange tackle kit box, and the bottom of that box had about 25, 30 Star Wars figures, mostly Empire Strikes Back, and they had not one, but right next to each other, snuggled in, like they were fishing lures, two Boba Fett's facing each other, and that's those guys.
Yeah, that because I seem to recall, wasn't there maybe a different Boba Fett that was made?
Yes, one that shot
one
that shot a missile, and of course they took that because kids were choking on Viper missiles from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh
so
my
we can't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So we had those guys, but those are really cool. As a matter of fact, I sold one of those for $35, but I kept the nicest one for me, and that's actually on one of our shelves at the house. So,
ooh, love to see that sometime if you don't mind. But that is awesome. Yep, the bounty hunters were a great scene in this movie. So we had that. Then because they were being used to track down to the Millennium Falcon at that point. One thing that I always wondered, but never really quite understood. I know that the Millennium Falcon blasted off right in front of Vader, but why was he so fixated on that? It was kind of like one of those things of why did he get so fixated on that one vehicle? I never quite understood what the connection was, or was it just a pride of that ship that got away that he had to watch fly off? Oh, hey, welcome
I
back.
do that. I do that every time. Every time I come out of chat, I hit the wrong X. God, you think I'd learn by now?
Oh,
Jeez
it
Louise.
happens. It
Did you get to
happens.
read the? Did you get to read my private chat I sent you
Yeah, I
before
did.
I
I did.
texted?
I
Okay,
did. I'm
cool.
I'm fine for that. As long as you got,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
good
dude.
for.
Especially if we're not. There's a better than 50-50 chance we're not doing another stream tonight later on. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Well,
good.
we'll
I
go
just
for
told
that.
everybody like I won't be eating with y'all. Just put a plate on the side for me and I'll eat later.
Well, just folks, keep retweeting out to everybody. Bring them on in. We'll go and have some
Sure.
fun, and we'll talk movies and talk about the movie. And feel free to share your thoughts. I'm gonna probably get through the movie synopsis a little bit more, and then ask y'all what did y'all like. What were your favorite scenes? What were your favorite quotes? So, but right now we're kind of looking at the toys that are here. Oh, yes, you came out of hyperspace too close to the planet. So we got that. Now the other scene, and I think it happened right after the bounty hunters, was we talked about the asteroid field and everything else like that, and Vader's like, Admiral Piet's like, sir, considering the damage we've taken, they must have been destroyed. No, they've not. Asteroids do not concern me, Admiral. And that look, and you see Piet just like wanting to crap his pants every time, and and then somebody walks up, my lord, we have them, and then you get, because they had blasted out, because thanks to stunning right here, this is no cave, because when they were landed on an asteroid to check on things to get out of the meteor storm, asteroid storm, then they realized, hey, this asteroid's not entirely stable, and then they realized, and they got Han's getting out. 3PO's babbling, Leia's babbling. He would not tell them, and then finally, this is no cave. When somebody said the cave is shedding, this is no cave, and then it blew out. It was a space slug. Yeah, that's this asteroid field scene chase. I think is, like we said with the pole. I mean, I think it gets overlooked as a scene of the movie. We always think of the physical locations, Dagobah, Hoth, Bespin, right. But there's so much happened in that asteroid field, because look what happens. They chase him down, and then he turns the ship around and then disappears from the Avengers tracker systems. And where are they coming around a pass? And then Captain Eda, Lord Vader demands an update. I shall prepare a shuttle. I shall go and apologize to Lord Vader myself.
I'm going to throw this out to you. I think there's two reasons why that scene is so overlooked and that location is so overlooked. Is it's very much the transition, right? We're leaving Hoth, we're going to Bespin. It's also, let's be real honest here. Tell me about your favorite asteroid field playset or new figure or vehicle that was introduced in that year. There wasn't. There was no real new introduction of anything. It's an exciting visual. It's a neat concept. It's a great payoff. But I don't think it was until Powers of the Force and the 2000s, maybe even the latter part of the Powers of the Force, where you actually got action figures with the little respirators on them, right? That you could buy. It was Asteroid Field Han and Asteroid Field Leia, and there's Chewie holding that thing over his face. It probably doesn't fit him well, and goodness knows he's probably not getting a great seal with all that fur on his face. But that's going to take a little bit away from it. And of course, when you get to Bespin, it's just this amazing cloud city, and Dagobah. You got this new guy, and is he a good guy, or was Yoda, how important, how strong is he really, and that freaky cave and everything and all that. So when you compare it to that, it's almost not a fair.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's like a lot of type of things that things get overlooked if they're not marketed, if they don't
Yeah,
have that thing, then they get forgotten. You forgot it's a real scene, so like
right.
that.
And to be fair,
It did come
how
out looking
could
like
they? How could they? It'd be
yeah.
pretty hard to make a big space worm playset. That'd be
Well,
tough.
you can make a
I
big
think
space winner, as Stunning says. So, but it's
maybe
it,
Mark C could 3D print us one.
well, you can do that Doomsday machine that looks like a big bugle to me, but
That's right. Yeah, big nasty bugle that's been left. That's a mold.
I know exactly. I love giving him a hard time about that. I keep waiting for him to scold me sometime about picking on Star Trek with that because as a big non-Star Trek guy, I was like, that's the crazy. I was Star Wars, not Star Trek and stuff. But yeah, it was fun with that movie. Yeah, I like to give. See, I grew up more as no Star Trek. As I've gotten older and as I've met Clobby and Mark and Raquel and others, I've gotten to learn to okay, it's different. Star Trek is a different thing,
Oh,
and
it
I learned
is.
to appreciate for something else. But as a teenager, as a kid, I wanted the action, blow them up, and all that stuff.
Sure.
Which is definitely for this franchise versus the other. So, um, but yeah, so we go out into space. I love that scene though with oh gosh, Brian Hepburn says Mark space cornucopia. Yeah, that's what it's. Oh, yeah, and see some people. Yeah, you had to be as Star Trek was really thought provoking, more I think minimal
Well,
brain.
Star Trek was TV. Star
Hmm.
Wars was movies.
Yeah,
Star Wars was epic. It was rare. Star Trek was very accessible. You
you
know.
know what I liked with Star Trek though. I think that helped me was that I watched the animated series like last year or two when I first started watching that Saturday Night Show with Clobby. Is that the animated show was really good. It was short, and I think that those
Yeah.
things play together. Why I liked it to get in with the rest of it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
if you held me down, I would probably say I like Star Wars overall better
Hmm.
than I like Star Trek. But I will tell you this: you could stay up and talk about Star Trek's morality.
Hmm.
What lesson were you trying to learn for this? Much, 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 much more. And you know what, too, dude? I'm more of a TV guy than a movie guy. I
Yeah.
always was. That as a kid, that's what really got me rocking. Was a television. I wanted a TV in my room. If you'd have
Yeah.
offered me a television in my room or a movie ticket a week for free, I'd pick the TV every day. Yeah, because that's what meant.
Absolutely.
That's what meant something to me, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to do a thing where my friends would like hum an '80s TV theme, and I could tell you what
Mhm.
it was because I watched it all. And then I
Absolutely.
started watching older stuff when Nick at Night came out and everything and all that. But Star Wars was so epic, man.
Hmm.
You'd wait years for a movie, to come out, and just the complexity and the look, and where Star Trek doesn't look lived in, Star Wars very much does, right?
Hmm.
Boba Fett's dent on his helmet. C-3PO's limbs don't match,
Right. Right. Yeah. But see, I really love. We've already talked about. I'm going to touch back on something we talked about earlier too with the Vader. This movie really gave it that Vader was a badass, not to be messed with.
Yeah,
You know, and I think we saw in the chinks in his armor in the uh or the kinks in the armor in Jedi, because he seemed to be a softer Vader in some ways. Maybe the conflict, which realizing it was his son, he was chasing down and to convert and stuff
right,
like that. But this movie, he was flat out badass. I mean, yeah, you strangle Admiral Ozzel. Don't even have to be in the damn room. Then,
right.
then Captain Nita comes over to apologize for losing the Millennium Falcon, and apology accepted, Captain Nita, which was really really interesting because of course you remember the Falcon sped to attack speed and then just disappeared. I've always tried to figure out how the heck did they all of a sudden magically attach to the bridge of that Star Destroyer that quickly, but they did, and then
Well, don't forget Han's a smuggler, dude.
yeah,
So I'm going to assume he probably did some modifications to his
yeah,
ship, and I would not be at all surprised if he didn't have like magnetic landing gear and stuff like that, and all that.
yeah,
That you could do that kind of stuff so that he could hang in certain places and hide, and he's obviously very stealthy. from being a smuggler. He wants to hide from things. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was going on. Or if even Lando had that, put on from back in the day. Because it was a smuggler ship back then, too, before you even won it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really. Just those type of things go through my head, and always kind of stuck with me as a kid. Like, how did that happen? But let's see where here Steve is saying the Enterprise was cutting edge tech. Millennium Falcon was a '57 Chevy. That's that's probably pretty good analogy. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, those '57 Chevys had a lot of character to them, though. But this goes to another line that we could have used in this, and I'm going to close that poll in a second. But I'm going to go with another poll in just a minute about maybe about like your favorite scenes. We'll do the scene one next. So go ahead and vote in the next minute or two on that other one. Brian Hebert saying it was a pimp mobile when Lando had it. Yeah, maybe that's where the fuzzy dice came for in that movie that I will not talk about. God, that was. I get physically ill about those last two movies that come out, and the Solo movie was one I dealt with, but I'm not going to derail Empire because I have a bad issue with Darth Maul. Period. But
yeah,
he did something powerful Sith Lords could never do, and I know that they brought him in Rebels. I know all that stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just I cannot. Anyway, so like I said, I'm not derailing Empire because we're supposed to be happy tonight, folks. Let's have fun with this. 12 people still hanging with us and having fun with this. And let me see. Let's go ahead and look at the poll. Think of some of the scenes that you would think of that we could put in the next one, though, Pat. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. What is your favorite quote? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are now closed of the poll. We had 9 votes in this one. And this one, Never Tell Me the Odds wins with 56%. I Am Your Father at 22%. I Know got 11%. Only 11%. And then Apology Accepted, Captain Nita got a vote. Yay. That is awesome. Hey.
Thanks, Miss Dadman. I'm glad you got a chance to vote this time.
Yay. That is awesome. So what we're going to do is now, let's see, what is your favorite scene? So, folks, if in the chat, since I've missed some, if there's a favorite scene you want to invite it, I got 4 slots. Let me know what you think.
I will say this. I'm going to throw this out. Let's leave out any scenes on Hoth because Hoth won his favorite.
Right. I got you.
So let's give somebody else a chance. Yep,
I agree. Oh, Maddie's daddy voted for Apology Accepted. That is interesting. Cool.
There we go.
All right.
Steve is 11%.
Exactly. Okay, so favorite scene. Oh, howdy, Snortopoopas Cuber. Welcome.
There's Snort. I was wondering. I tagged you, Snort. So hey, see, buddy.
Hello, humans and other critters. Hey, that's awesome. And hey, look, a wizard always gets precisely where he's going when he wants to, or whatever the quote is. I butchered it, I know. So let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Should we do the asteroid field chase?
Okay.
All right. Chase. We'll do that one. Yes. Let's see. Luke Skywalker in the cave.
No, that's Hoth. You can't do that, dude.
No. In the cave. Remember we went to face the dark side?
Oh yeah, that was.
Or how about the X-wing raising?
Yeah, we could because we got to have something for Dagobah.
Yeah, let's do. Let's see. A favorite action scene. Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Well, then obviously in the carbonite chamber when
carbonite
Darth
chamber.
Vader. Yeah, when Luke and Darth Vader meet, obviously.
Yeah.
Their first real fight. That's pretty interesting.
Okay, carbonite chamber, Vader, Luke duel. I've got asteroid field chase, the carbonite chamber with the duel. Let's see. What is another? Let's see. Trying to figure out another action scene chase that we've got in here. The Yoda raising the X-wing.
Yeah, because you gotta have something for Dagobah,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be Luke. It shouldn't be Luke confronting his.
Yeah, exactly.
That K thing was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. And then, of course, in the last movie, they kind of in person piggyback that with the lady that will not be named. Okay,
Gotcha.
and let's see. So we got asteroid field chase, carbonite chamber, the with the duel, Yoda racing X-wing from the water, and
I guess the escape, right, where
yeah,
they run away from Boba Fett and they got to save Luke from the hanging on the
from Bespin.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yep, escape from Bespin, fight and chase. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm just gonna call it fight/chase because that whole thing will be one scene. All right, so that's it. What is your favorite action scene, non-Hoth from Empire? Asteroid field chase, carbonite chamber, Vader Luke duel, Yoda racing X-wing from the water, escape from Bespin, fight chase. All right, and we will ask the poll. All right, it's out there again, folks. All righty, so 13 great people with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Snort Poopus, glad you came into. Yeah, we had to go something other than Hoth. I do agree, Luke versus AT-AT, but
but let's be honest, that would win. Come on, guys.
we're trying to do
awesome.
something a little different because we're trying to.
Yeah.
We're eventually making our way through the movie. So, and we got this. Of course, we transitioned to Bespin. We just talk about Bespin now. So,
and what a great scene! Yeah, they go to the Lando system.
I never thought of that. It's like this a silly SOB, silly old bear. Okay. Well, I guess I'm trying to bury that scene. I wouldn't want to call that action because that could take the Boom Chicka Wow Wow term of action. So, but plus we're getting away from Hoth. But yeah, so many great classic scenes in this thing. Folks, go ahead. Type out some of the scenes that you like, okay? We'll try to hit them as a chat as we go through here. But, you've got the ones in the poll, whether it's action or not. Feel free to share those scenes. Are you more quotes that we haven't hit yet?
Yeah.
So
look, the scene where they meet Vader in the dining room at Bespin is pretty freaking awesome.
And we're walking towards Bespin. Yeah. We'll walk into that.
The special effects and how they did it and all with that. That's a great scene.
No, but hold on to that. And we'll work right up to that real quick. So Boba Fett, we talk about the Avenger. It deploys this garbage like Han knew, they deploy the garbage before they jump to light speed. So, and like Leia said, we'll float away like the rest of the garbage. And so he, so they float away. But guess what? Bounty Hunter was crafty enough. The great Boba Fett. Knew where to tie them in. Now, IG-88 knew and got there first, which you see IG-88's in the body and the melding thing down where Chewie got 3PO. But, that's another side story where Boba Fett had an adventure with that. But, hey, Bespin, you can't have Bespin without, is it Colt 45? Yay. I tell you, I love Billy D. Williams, man.
Billy D's...
Say what you want to, but the Mouse trilogy, anytime he's around, he gives anything gravitas or credibility.
Your last action figure released with a vinyl cape.
Yep.
There weren't many of this one. Leia with her Bespin outfit had one, and him, and I think that was it. And
I do have both of those with the cape still.
Yeah.
So.
And what weapon does Lando have a weapon, or does he have like a?
I think he has a blaster, like a regular blaster pistol.
Yeah, he did have something.
Yeah.
And do you have a Lobot?
I have a Lobot. Yep.
Great. What an interesting action figure too. Now, I think Lobot didn't really have a weapon, right? He had like an administrative staff, right?
Yeah,
like
there are some kind of little handheld device. Yeah, exactly. At least they improvised for that. So. Yeah. So.
Now let me ask you this: when you ask Mom for your cloud offer,
is this KK? There's only one KK I know. I was like, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Snarpupus Vader, you kissed your sister? Luke, sorry, Dad. Obi-Wan left out a lot of useful information I could have used.
Yeah.
And that was a battle scene. I guess that was true. Didn't even think about that. Okay, your question. Go ahead.
When you asked Mom to get you a cloud car, did you also ask for 2 cloud car pilots?
Of course.
Or did you, or wait, did you ask for the
Okay.
2 security guys? Because those are 2 very different figures.
No,
Or
see.
they had a black one and a white
Mhm.
guy one.
Yep.
Yep. And did the cloud car pilots come out the same time as the cloud car?
I think they came out later, but see,
Okay.
I did not ask for that. My mom bought it on her own.
Okay.
So, but it's kind of like one of those things. As a kid, I'm like, I wanted an AT-AT, but as I got older, I learned to appreciate what I got more and better.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, dude, the problem is a cloud car. It had no electronics on it, so that was about a $10 piece back then.
Right
Which
here,
would be about
this
a $20 piece now. Yeah.
This is it.
So.
And I watched Retro Blasting once before on a stream, and I know he had said something about this, and it was rare to have the box. Well, my mom kept the box, and we still had the box and the thing. But yeah, I always wanted 2 of everything. I wanted one on each side. I got one. I adopted a second one from a friend that was ditching his collection. But yeah, but I mean, because I sat there thinking, my brain worked with, how can you only have one pilot? It only works with 2 pilots. So, and you're right, the security guys are completely different. They're in blue uniforms.
But I guarantee you probably put security guys in your car when you first.
I had to. But see, look at this. Look at the box actually up here. Because to your point, see, you got a security guard in one of them, and the security's letting Luke in the other. So yeah,
he's like showing him around. Like, what do you think of this, Luke? Isn't this nice? Would you like to buy one? Yeah,
like a used car dealer. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And I'm sorry for the bad pictures, but see, there's Lando there with that vinyl cape.
Yeah.
So,
and you just got 2 of the white guys, 3 really, the guy in the thing. But that black Bestman security guard guy was definitely a release in 79-80, so it should have been there.
Yeah,
maybe the guy didn't have access to when he took the picture for the box and everything.
Maybe not.
But that was a great toy, dude. It was only what, 6 stickers, I think.
Yeah,
from the front and the back.
Actually,
the control panels. Yeah,
I think only. I don't remember. I'd have to look at the side panels. I only remember the 2 in the engine, the front and back of the engines. So,
right, and your control panels for the
It is. I will say this. Like I said, it's really one that just as a kid, it kind of underwhelms you, but you do understand as an adult what was done. And like Maddie's daddy said, that's what I call a great mother. And yeah, but my mom had this philosophy. She'd buy it as long as I would do it. She let me play with the stuff. And as soon as I got done, it all went up. It went up into boxes. They got put in their containers and got boxed and put up in the attic, but in a good spot. Sealed boxes, all that other stuff. So it was really good. Not only did she buy it, did she look out for it? She let me play with it, but then put it up for later. I don't know why she saw down the road it'd be valuable and this, that, and the other. She just did, and she, instead of just letting me be lazy and kid and lose everything, she kept it together for me. And so when I got married, it came with me and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Steve's mom was good. Steve's mom would let him dig in the ashtray of the car. She'd be like, Steve, go out to the Chevy Nova. Any change you find in the ashtray of the car and in the couch, I'll bring you to Clobby's comic book shop and you can buy some 65 centers, dude. So Steve would go in there with his dimes and quarters and plop them down.
Now Stunning says maybe one cockpit is just a bathroom. Yes, we joke. Stunning and I joke about toilet chairs for Fortnite. The missus groans and says that's disgusting, but it's like, hey, we don't get up. We just want to keep playing. But hey, And back to serious, Steve's right. Yeah, she understood the importance of childhood dreams become cherished memories. Yeah, she
Yeah.
encouraged play. She did all that. When I was 7, with the original up to 10, I played. And that's what's funny. I did not have the same drive on all the toys when it passed Empire and into Jedi. I thought I had everything. I mean, that I needed or wanted back then. I didn't need another Luke Skywalker or this version of Luke, and she didn't push it, and I don't blame her. My parents were self-employed individuals. They they worked, they scrimped, and they got what they could do. And I mean, hell, that Millennium Falcon I know had to cost them a lot of money.
Yeah,
Not
Millennium
everybody
Falcon
got.
was $65, buddy.
Yeah,
Yep.
not everybody got that. So I like to always look back on those as fond memories, and that's why I try to be careful how I say stuff, because I don't want to come off as an ungrateful person, with it, or an ungrateful kid. It's more that I learned the value of things over time to understand what she did do for me back then. And that
She didn't make
thing.
you go outside and play?
No, they didn't really I mean, I went outside on my own to play at times, but my dad kind of like, go do stuff. I went outside enough on my own. I didn't need a lot of motivation to do it. But when I had my army stuff and when I had my Star Wars stuff, they as long as I wasn't bothering them, they were okay with it. And I'm going to say hello to AFK Bard over on the Twitch side. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing? We got 3 people over on the Twitch side. Make sure you follow us over there. Even if you have a YouTube channel, go give us a follow over there. If you're on Twitch and you have YouTube, come over and subscribe on YouTube. Let's just drive those numbers crazy and drive the algorithms
That's
insane.
cool.
So absolutely.
So did you
Brian,
have? I'm sorry, I didn't
okay.
realize Brian
Brian
was.
said we use the cloud car as the guns from the black hole holding in the middle.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, you can find ways to use this card. We got 15
on.
people still with us, though. Pat, this is awesome,
Nice.
folks. We'll probably go for about another hour. So thank y'all for being here with us. And we're still about halfway through the movie. So
I think Vincent was the best shot in the black hole. Were you allowed to have kids over to your house to play Star Wars, or did you put your stuff up when they came?
No, we were allowed to play. We were allowed to play with it.
We would actually bring toys to each other's house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about you, but I had both a C-3PO and a Darth Vader carrying case that your action figures would go in. And I would mostly go over to my friend Mike's house because, like I said, Mike's mom worked at Sears, and Mike was all about Star Wars. Like, I would buy G.I. Joe stuff. I want a Voltron and all that. When I could get it, I didn't always get it. I will tell you this. One thing I will give my parents credit for. Every weekend we would go to Kmart, usually on a Sunday afternoon after mass. And some weeks you got to buy a toy, but every time you went, I'll never forget, my parents would let me buy 2 books. So you had to get something that was kind of like a real book, but then you could get a comic book, or you could get, like, I would buy those 99-cent reprints of like this, the Peanuts cartoons and Family Circus. And then if I was really high stepping and they were amenable to it, maybe one of the Garfield books, which were a little bit pricier, right? Those are like $5. So, but yeah, I remember going and buying the toys and everything and all that. And it was a pretty big deal for me, but I never would bring like a vehicle or a playset over to somebody's house because I was just afraid I was going to lose a piece of it or something.
Right.
But the action figures went everywhere.
My parents wouldn't. My mom would. I don't remember. I only have one friend, and that was right next door. I don't think she really let me take him out of the house, or I didn't take. There was no desire. If he brought some stuff over, maybe, but we really. I tried not to leave the house.
Dude, you only had one friend as a kid? That's kind of sad.
No, well,
really?
It was a bad neighborhood. I mean, well, not bad neighborhood, but it was an old neighborhood. There were only.
Well, what about you didn't have friends at school and stuff? Y'all didn't do like sleepovers and stuff?
No, my parents didn't go. I mean, no, back then it was like if they didn't live around you, you didn't do stuff with them. It wasn't until high school I got few more friends from around town because plus I was at local. We had local schools and stuff like that, so we didn't have people on the other side of town. Then I didn't drive either, so but that would have been till high school and after. So,
did you go to public school or like?
Public school, yeah. This was well before homeschooling too, and it was public school. But they, just not that many kids in the neighborhood. So it's
I
like
hear
over
you,
the years.
man. That's kind of a bummer, I guess, in a way. But in another way, I guess it gave you an opportunity to really invest time with, because when you grow up in a neighborhood full of kids like I did,
Hmm.
we did a lot of play army, talk to girls, you know,
Hmm.
walk places and get stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, during the summer especially, you would go out of your house at like 7:30 in the morning, and you wouldn't come home until the street lights came on.
Right.
But for younger generation people listen to us, that was a real thing. That
Hmm.
was how you told time. Most 8
Yeah.
year olds weren't walking around with a watch. When the
Yeah.
street lights came on, you at least went home and checked in with your folks and said,
Yep.
"This is where I am" and stuff. Or and I mean, I remember my mom actually doing things like leaving a sandwich outside for me to eat. And
Yep. Yep.
here we go.
Yep. I'm going to come back to these in just a second. Now that we see them
Okay.
here, I'm going to stay right here because what I want to do is I want to finish up talking about. We're going to talk the movies out for the
Okay.
rest because a lot of this stuff is just general merchandise from here on
Yeah.
out. So basically, what we end up seeing, you have the Bespin race to Bespin, Boba Fett and Vader meet some beats Han and Leia there. It just or they came in. Basically, you get the scene. Lando invites Leia and Han to dinner. We know 3PO's in pieces that Chewie
Yep.
found. So then they walk in, and then basically that scene that you're talking about, the banquet scene opens. What do you think with that door slinging open? And were you really prepared to see this black figure stand
No,
up?
not at
And
all. Not at all.
yeah, and he's like, then all of a sudden Han gets off a couple shots, and you see the blaster flying out of his hands, and
Yes.
to us, we'd be honored with your presence. And then you see Boba Fett walk out.
Yes. And the
What
door
you,
shut.
yeah, what was how that scene take you when you saw that?
Well, I mean, as a kid, you're like real nervous, but you also know at that point, like, and this is what's funny is I'm thinking as a kid, and all the way up to the point that he doesn't, that this is when Luke comes in. I thought maybe even Yoda would go with him. Maybe that would actually have been a different movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Yoda would have went with him, because Yoda, as we know, knew Anakin as a lad, and I really thought though, like, oh, this is where Luke's gonna come in and save him and get everybody out. And not quite, right? He doesn't save
Right.
the princess this time. The princess kind of saves him. So
Yeah, and I got more on that at the end. I'm going to hold for the end too. Good point there. But yeah, you see, then you get that, and you're like, oh, all's lost, and this, that, and the other. But
right,
then we see Luke conflicted on Dagobah, has to go, has the visions. Yoda's trying to tell him not to go. Complete your training. And we see some of the Skywalker impetuousness in him, where he's like, "No, I gotta go. I gotta save my friends." And Yoda's trying to tell him there's no guarantee one way or the other if you go. And Obi-Wan's telling him, it's a dangerous time, and with his training, to fall to the dark side.
yeah, and it's kind of telling as an adult. You look at that and you're like, I mean, I know these guys mean well. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's like, he's kind of the last hope, though there is another. But
Mm-hmm.
but you have to say these guys, for the most part, they were wrong a lot of times, right? And they were telling them for very selfish reasons what to do and not to do. And in a lot of ways, it did work out for the best. I guess in a lot of ways, it didn't,
Yeah.
too, because it seems like the only guy that really makes it to the bitter end is the guy we thought they killed at the end of
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like he kind of had to do what he had to do, and people forget too. Luke didn't have that classic training. He was too old to be trained. But he really was their last hope. And it's times like this I kind of wish we had a Star Wars historian on him, because that famous line on Dagobah where there is another, that really went nowhere, didn't it? I mean, I guess the real payoff is that you find out Leia's his sister, but um, there really never was a payoff with that, right? Nobody ever really pursued her to be, I mean, I guess the big payoff with that would be in the third movie, where it's like, well, if we can't turn you, we'll just turn your sister.
Right.
And of course, Luke's like, because that's at that point Luke never had much of a family, but that was certainly all the family he had at that point,
Yeah,
and he
exactly.
wasn't going to allow that to happen.
Well, you didn't get a payoff for that line in that movie, but you see the payoff in the Return of the Jedi, but
Yeah,
not even as much there. But where you really see it's an expanded universe. When
right,
they actually branched out, she did use her force powers a little bit, but she didn't complete the training. There was limitations, but then she bore force sensitive children, very powerful. The whole bloodline is what's so important, and
right,
that's another discussion we can have the whole time because this whole debate about what Star Wars has become with now taking off of Palpatine blood, now adopting a name Skywalker. The whole thing was it was supposed to be about the bloodline of Skywalkers. You look at expanded universe, if that's where it was.
right.
And I tend to think that they could have taken the expanded universe. I don't think they should have made it word for word and exactly like the books because that could get boring. But
Yeah,
you could have taken those characters, or you had different kids, but just keep it in that family instead of what they ended up doing. But that's like I said, that's another story for another day. Oh my gosh, we can go in all kinds of different directions when
but
it comes to
Luke and
Star
Leia
Wars.
must have had a ton of metachlorians in them, though, right? I mean, if their
I
father
must have,
had like
yeah,
off the charts, or do we still believe in metachlorians? I don't know. I'm not.
yeah. The midichlorians are something that I think became canon because of the prequels and stuff like that. So you would have
Gotcha.
think, but of course these movies were done well ahead of that. So of course that would not even be referenced back then. So we just,
Right.
it's one of those things that it's okay. At least in my mind, it's okay. You just accept it and move on to to
Yeah.
enjoy to enjoy what we had because I tell you what we had was really good stuff when it came out. The good thing with Star Wars is it could stand on its alone as a movie with no other sequels or prequels. You could have
That's
watched it;
true.
it could have been the only movie, and that all you could have had and
Right.
still been entertained with it. Empire, though, is a sequel. Though you need the
Yes.
context of what happened before it to make sense of why are these people hiding on an ice planet where nobody would want to hide?
It
What's
is.
going on? And
It's the true second act, right? It's where the
yeah,
heroes are at their lowest and
mm-hmm,
things are worse, and it's a do or die situation.
yeah,
And that's one thing you do have to like about Return of the Jedi is it's do or die from second one, from drop off.
mm-hmm,
It's just that the Ewok cutie, the whole escaping from Java, I think a lot of people would say that's really, really, really drawn out. You know,
yeah.
um, blow up a second Death Star, or it's kind of like, eh. We've
It would
been
make
here,
more
done that
sense than
before.
blowing up a friggin' destroying planet. So
And oh, by the way, we're gonna blow it up with the Millennium Falcon, but absolutely nobody from the original crew is gonna be on there. It's gonna be a guy wearing brown boots, black gloves, and a blue vest with a red flight suit
and Need
that we've
Nub
never
with him.
seen before, and Lando.
Yeah. Well, Snorter Poopers didn't like the midichlorians. Yeah. So
I
yeah,
understand. I
yeah,
don't
we
either.
understand that
Uh,
too.
sort of poops. I'll tell you this, dude. I had to not to start going into the prequels. And I got to tell you, now that we've seen what came after the prequels, boy, do the prequels look really good. And I will stand
Yep.
by a statement that I'm probably not the only person to ever say this, but if you've never seen Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi, and you were just to see those movies, especially in 99, 2000, 2002, you'd be blown away by that story. You'd think that was the best thing ever. But those of us that had episode 5, 6, and all before we got to see 1, 2, and 3, we
Mm-hmm.
weren't as blown away. But if you looked at it as a standalone piece, and at the time, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, it's pretty outstanding when you look at it that way. But no, that's what I was saying was about this movie is that it really does. It puts a lot of stuff into perspective, and even as a kid, you're like, wow, this is brutal, man. Luke's there with his hand cut off. He gets, and I'll never forget my mom like sitting my cousins and I down. I had two boy cousins at the time that were real close to my age, and her like explaining this is like, you understand if you cut your hand off, there really
Mm-hmm.
is no fake hand. And I'm sitting here going like, well, first of all, I'm like 6 or 7. And I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, but even if there was, do you think I'd intentionally cut my hand off? What do you? But that was kind of how my mom was. Hermione would just go to the worst place. It's like, I'll just cut my hand off so I can get one of those cool electronic hands from the robot with really skinny
Yeah.
arms and legs that puts you in a bantha tank and let you float around.
The way these movies were going, everybody were going to be robotic at some point. You got Vader in a mechanical suit. You got Luke now with a robot arm. It's just, hey, it's crazy.
We love cutting off limbs, man.
I know. Well, so basically what we have here is we have them at Beston. They captured, tortured Han. Luke comes in, walks into the trap. It's really, really cool around the maze of Bespin, all the doors and how they open, and forcing Luke that way, the way they used them, bringing him to the chamber to face and confront Darth Vader. And yet then R2, we see hooked up with 3PO and the others that are running, trying to get to the Falcon, to actually capture Han from Boba Fett. But then at the end, you see Boba Fett flying off. They were just too late. And then the stormtroopers come up trying to cut them off. And basically, to finish the plot real quick, is that, then they had the chase. Then, they get to the Falcon. And of course, we had that dramatic moment, while we're seeing the lightsaber duels go back. And we can talk about the lightsaber duels a little bit later because there's a lot to talk about.
Right.
But to finish the plot,
a lot of people don't catch this. Lobot actually for his boss releases the Millennium Falcon shielding and the security clamps so that they could take off in that and escape.
Exactly, and he actually Lando types to him to get the message to jump the troopers guarding them so that they could all go to escape.
Yep.
And then we see we get the fight on the scaffolding, and we'll talk more about the fight in a second. But to finish it is, Luke falls. He's hanging out there. Leia and Lando and Chewie are flying off, and then Leia's like, "We got to go back." And then Lando starts to protest, and Chewie's like, "Okay." It's like,
because he could go out at any time.
Well, they already Chewie had plenty of reasons to still be mad at Lando at that point too.
Oh, 100%. Lando's lucky. The only reason he didn't rip Lando from limb to limb is because they needed Lando at that point. I'm sure that's exactly what Chewie was thinking.
So there
Lando
we see
had a long way to prove. But Lando, look, you have to give Lando some credit. He was in a tight spot.
Yep.
He really does. If you read some of the extended universe stuff, or you watching Rebels and the cartoons and stuff and all, he really considered Cloud City like, this is my retirement, man. These people mean a lot to me. I'm going to be. It's probably why he was a good general later on, and it made sense for him to do that because he obviously could win people over, because anybody that helped him at that point, they were putting themselves right in the target of the Empire. I'm sure probably a lot of Cloud City people did not make it out of there. They didn't just let them. Well, I guess because your administrator escaped, you guys could just go free and continue. My guess would be the Empire probably stayed there and took over running it, and probably kind of enslaved those people, and whatever they were making, that started going to the resources of the Empire, would be my guess. So he gave them a lot.
And that's probably why in the re-release of Jedi, Return of the Jedi, we got the little change of the ending scenes of not just all Force Moon and Endor. We got the Coruscant, the Naboo, the Bespin cut scenes and stuff like that too. So, but basically, that's the first time we see the Force connection between Luke and Leia. She senses them, comes back. Then we get them dropped off, and then of course the hyperdrive does not work again.
Right,
and they're like, "My people said they fixed it." It's like, could you imagine pooping in your pants like Lando? That was talk about people are pooping in their pants. We had Admiral Ozzel, we had Captain Eda, and then Lando when he's got Chewie right there, and Leia looking at him like the hyperdrive, But yeah.
Hey, wait, you know what? I cannot for the life of me at this point. Can you remind me? Because it sounds like you just recently watched it. It's probably been about a year since I just watched A New Hope on May 3rd, because I refuse to do anything on Star Wars for May 4th, because it's a made-up corporate holiday for the worst company on earth.
Yeah, I got you.
But how did R2 get back with everybody?
They just by blind luck, it looked like when Luke got cut off, when the door shut, and at first then R2 couldn't follow him anymore. So when he turned around, they happened to bump in the hallway, and 3PO saw him and called out for him
to the Millennium Falcon.
What's that?
Okay, good. That
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. They met up in the hallway, and 3PO yelled at him, saying, "We're going to save Han from the bounty hunter," and
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what happened there. Of course, R2D2 lays out a layer of fogs to help them get to the Falcon
Yep.
and escape. So, and then of course, it ends with the scene on the medical frigate. We got Chewie and Lando are going to go look for Han, obviously going
Right.
to Tatooine, where Jabba is to finish up the movie. And,
Yep.
really that's it. And that's the synopsis of the whole movie and the plot of it all. So, folks, if you still have scenes or quotes that you want to talk about, go ahead and put them in the chat now that we covered the whole movie. We got
Yeah.
some more time, and we got some more things that we want to show about on the collection side of this stuff. And we can just talk about things at random.
Let me say one
Go
last
ahead.
thing about action figure real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Another great action figure that I don't have, and I don't know if you have at the house, but that C3PO that comes apart with the carrying cargo net that you can
Mm-hmm.
actually fit. Guys, there was a C3PO released, and in the movie, 3PO becomes parts and Chewie puts them back together. But you could actually get the C3PO for The Empire Strikes Back. His arms and legs are detachable, and he comes with this cargo net looking thing, and you could actually put it on Chewie's back like he wore in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Did you own that as a
No, I
kid?
never got that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
I never got that one. That would have been cool to have. So,
That was an awesome action figure. Yeah.
and Stunning makes a very good point right here, and I think this is a very key point because, like we said, Vader seemed a little different in Jedi, but the ending here, Stunning says, the ending here is also the first moment where we see Vader start to change, and I agree with that. On the bridge of the Executor, when they were about to tractor beam him, the Millennium Falcon, they knew that they had cut the hyperdrive on it, and of course, Admiral Piet's like, "Yeah, Lord Vader, we took care of it," and then all of a sudden you see him, and then all of a sudden R2 twists the button, gets it, you know, and then they just jump off into hyperdrive, and Vader's standing there looking. It's like he looks down, looks ahead, and then walks off. And you sit talking about pooping your pants again, Admiral Piet. We already seen Ozzel dead. We saw Nita dead. He's got walking right at Admiral Piet. Admiral Piet's got to be like, oh dear God, why? It's just like
You know,
pooping his pants. But the Stunning's point, I think that's a good point that he raised there. Vader change is somewhat different because the contrast. This is why I hate the new because Kylo Ren came off stupid. Because you remember in the Force Awakens, he just got mad and blew everything up. Vader could have done that in that scene, but Vader didn't. I think which made him a better bad guy, a more sophisticated bad guy. But I do think it shows that there was a chink in there was a breakdown of his character. That first little slippage of the dark side.
yep.
Because
I
he
think
did not
well
reel out like that.
and I have to kind of think too. Maybe I think at that point Vader's still pretty heavy evil, but I'm thinking at this point too. Maybe like Vader wanted Luke to be saved because Luke, join me. We can rule the Empire together. I think at this point Vader's kind of working his. With the Sith, there's always two. Dadman, a
Mm-hmm.
master. And Vader, I think, is thinking, this is my chance to become a master. This could be my apprentice. This could be the guy and we'll rule together as father and son. I think he's really thinking that. And I'm thinking he might even be thinking it almost like in a good guy way, Like Lex Luthor does not see himself as the bad guy, dude. Lex Luthor is the guy that's like, look, I'm going to protect us from these metahumans. Superman's great, but he could go rogue at any time. And I think Vader's kind of thinking that too. Like, look, the Emperor lied to me. He said you were dead, but you're not dead. And I'm conflicted about that. I think that I think that's why to this day, Darth Vader's still so revered. I mean, yeah, you have, of course, I don't ever want to take away from David Prowse's acting as a stand-in. Certainly the voice, right,
Mm-hmm.
that we get from the man. I mean, he is just incredible doing the voicing of Darth Vader and all that. But I think that there's a part of him that's like, look, the Emperor's not the guy. This is not going well. There's a rebellion because he's not a great guy. Maybe I could do this better. And that's what I think as an adult. I look at that because obviously he's not the great villain. He's a gray villain, right? He's like what most of us are. There's different shades. Yeah, he's done some terrible stuff, but maybe he could write this. Maybe he could fix this. And if at this point he knew Leia existed and was his daughter, that they were twins, I think he would be like, "Hey, let's do this as a family." Especially Leia. She
Absolutely.
really had that leadership and royalty and things like that and all. So yeah, I can't help but think that as an adult rewatching that, I think it's a full another dimension to it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I just think you can't underestimate the point that Stunning made here. It really, really was a good point because, and then like I said, contrasted to what the Mouse did with Kylo Ren, who they were trying to make this big bad guy, and it didn't work. Because I think like Stunning said here, the whole movie he's choking out the henchmen left and right, and then but in this case he just walks off.
Yeah.
And and see here, let's see. And Maddie's daddy also says the importance of apology accepted, Captain Nita. Line is that Darth Vader is almost a one-dimensional character at that point. Being powerful and evil will only play for so long. Humor, even gallows humor, adds dimension to the character. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. And yeah, Kylo Ren, yes. And see, it didn't work and hit that Kate. There's one thing as being mature and whatever, and then the others just being a whiny baby. And then Brian Hebert says Vader shows it first with the Emperor. He is just a boy. Obi-Wan can no longer help him. And if he could be turned, he would become a powerful ally, trying his best to avoid killing Luke. So thank y'all in the chat. There's just some good points towards that. Absolutely. You guys are on fire out there in the chat. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for that feedback. Having good points with that, Pat. To me, what stood out with me with this movie was from this angle. Was this being 10 years old when this happened? I was always left with movies like everything the cowboy. It was always a happy ending. The cowboy always won. The guy got the girl. Everything was a happy ending in my mind from things I saw. This is the first time I recall seeing a movie that did not end happy. It was not the darkest dark, but it was not a bright ending. Like A New Hope, triumphal music at the end. Everybody got awards and.
Not Chewbacca, but everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, but this one just kind of ended like, what happened? What's next? And I'm stuck.
It was, but there again, when Lucas is great, he's the best. When he's not, he's subpar. But that ending, he really did make it. If you're an adult watching that, you're like, man, this is grim. If you've never seen, but if as a kid, like you kind of look at it and you're like, well, Han and now we know, like it wasn't like we got to go out and find Han. They're going to go search the whole universe. They know exactly where Jabba is, right? Luke could tell them where Jabba is. Chewbacca knows where Jabba is. And they're like, we're going to go get Han. And, they're standing there with their arms around each other. And there's 3PO and R2, and they're all shined up again and looking good. So yet there's some real hope there, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is still their lowest point, and people forget too. They left a lot of equipment on Hoth. I mean, they had just kind of had gotten all back together again, and now it's time for the last big push, and that's what that's leading up to. But of course, as a kid, you don't know that. You don't get that for another 3.5 years, right?
Right. I know. I'm sat there like, what happened? I don't want to wait I didn't want to wait. I wasn't guaranteed there was a movie after it or anything. I'm sitting there like,
man, let's be honest here.
It's the first time though that I ever had been confronted with that. That's what was hard as a 10-year-old to accept.
Right. And I mean, granted, I was a little bit younger than you, but I mean, you just didn't know what was going to happen next. But and you didn't know how long you were going to have to wait.
Yep.
Exactly. I mean, people were talking because what your friends would tell you is, well, Star Wars is 77, 76, this movie 80, So 84, and that's what everybody's thinking. You're thinking like, God, 84, I'll be in middle school then. You'll be in high
Mm-hmm.
school,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. That's a long way away when you're a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you this. The Star Wars fever just lasted that whole time. From the late 70s to the mid 80s, it was nonstop. There were books, there were records, there were comic books, the Marvel comics, the first 50 Marvel did especially, just phenomenal stuff like that. Getting any information you could out of magazines, getting
Mm-hmm.
glasses from Burger King, all that stuff. Anything that they would release and keeping the action figures going and stuff like that and all that. Really, and that's why, a lot of people are like, oh, he made merchandise thing and all that stuff. But as a kid, that's all you had. That's all you got.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Star Wars TV show in the middle. You don't get the backstory of Andor.
Yeah.
You don't get
You
all
don't.
that. You get what you could read in a magazine, a radio show, a George Lucas interview. That's it. That's what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back then they started the Star Wars fan club, but it was not
Yeah.
internet online real
No.
time. It was you mail off for something and get your magazine or your thing a week or two later if you're lucky.
Yeah, I
So,
remember some guy had a newsletter that my
mm-hmm.
mom would get, and you would actually see. I remember sitting in taping onto a piece of paper, like writing my address on a 5x8 index card, and
Mm-hmm.
taping a $5 bill with Scotch tape and two 50-cent pieces, and putting stamps in it so that he could mail me this newsletter once a month for a year. I remember that,
Yep.
and it was just a yellow, folded 4-page thing, but it would tell you about all the different stuff, and he would have an action figure of the month and stuff and everything, and it was probably an unsanctioned, I'm sure,
Getting
thing that
bantha
somebody just.
tracks in the mail. Yep. Yeah. And folks, go ahead and vote in our poll. We got 11 votes and we got a 55-45 split right now.
Oh, we could close that gap up.
Actually, asteroid field. Actually, the asteroid field chase is leading over the carbonite chamber and the duel.
That makes
it's
sense.
a neck and neck, but
Everybody likes that Han, man.
Neck and neck. Yeah, exactly. So I do like what you said also about Han Solo. He was a character, and he was always my favorite. I always liked Han better than I liked Luke.
Now,
in the movies, that is, I did like Han Solo in the EU, but I grew to understand why Luke had to be the chief, and he was the focus of everything. And let me say hello to Anona Moss. Welcome in. Good to see you tonight, Anona Moss. Good to see you.
I don't know if you know the answer to this question. Maybe somebody like a Steve or a Snorty or any of our historians in the thing. Was there really a thought that Han would not come back? Was there really a thought that we're going to kill Han off here, that he at least doesn't appear again? Or
I heard that the original intent was that he would be killed in a Return of the Jedi. I've heard that from many sources that Harrison Ford also wanted that, but Lucas decided not to, or chose not to. Which I that pisses me off with that particular actor. He got his way in the damn thing as we waited 40 years and got shit when it came back to we never got our crew together, but he's so damn ready to kill off that character, which made his whole career. But he'll make Indiana Jones 300, and run one into the ground.
Terrible Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
movies
I'm sorry.
Dude,
you might get a Dadman rant coming on soon because I get pissed off with some of these things, and when I get on Dadman rant, I can't stop.
I have to say, dude, as an actor, I like Harrison Ford.
Yeah. But it's like, why would you kill off? Why would you have such disrespect for the role that made you? Because I tell you what, if you understood what Han Solo meant in the expanded universe, he was not a piece of shit character. He was not shallow. He was deep. He was complex. Maybe the writing was a little hokey, especially in Jedi with the humor and stuff. But you know what? He was not meant to be the number one damn character. Luke Skywalker was the leader. Yeah. Luke Skywalker was the New Hope. Luke Skywalker is the one to rebuild the Jedi.
Yep.
And you as an actor need to shut up and sit yourself to the side if you didn't like the way that was written. But he was a good character. And that's, if you would bother to read a book, you can see, and I'm not talking to you, Patrick, but the thing is people that understood and read the EU and stuff understood that Han Solo was not a shallow character. He was deep. He was complicated. He was conflicted between good and bad. He was around a bunch of bad guys and stuff like that. But he had to survive. But he deep down had a core of good. That's how he got Chewbacca. That's how the other things have happened. And if he would appreciate the character for what it is instead of just trying to kill it off, so much more could have been done.
Yeah. Like I said, like him as an actor, but as a person, he just seems to be a pain in the neck kind of human being. He really does, and he comes off across. And I don't know why he's never been called on it. I guess it's because he really does make such few movies, and whenever he does a movie, he's usually pretty good in it. They're usually pretty successful. But he is an arrogant cuss. He really is, man. He's an arrogant guy.
Steve is saying he never wanted to be. He just hired to read lines with the auditioning actors. And, well, still, hey, it's a good promotion from being a carpenter,
Yeah, he still he cashed those checks, didn't he, buddy?
Yeah, he did. I know.
And I'm not taking it out on Steve, but Steve's 100% right. But, still at the end, well, then just leave it alone. If you really feel that way, then, but let's be honest, by the time you get to Return of the Jedi, if they don't kill you off, what do you care? You never have to do that character again. You're done. He didn't have to do that awful movie that he did 23 years later. He didn't have to do that. He could have really been done with that character.
Yeah. I mean, just write him off screen,
Go make a Mosquito Coast 2 or Regarding Henry. So, the return home years, the Ritz Cracker years, I mean,
Ritz Cracker years,
Working Girl 2.
Oh yeah,
Working Kids.
All those wonderful movies. Yeah.
Other movies that he was in.
Air Force One. All.
Well, that was a great movie. I can't make fun of it.
I don't know. I'll make fun of all of them, but But hey, but then again, he'll do Dial of Destiny. He'll do that last Alien thing of Indiana Jones, which is like, why? It just,
dude, that was an awful movie. I mean, I do
agree with this. I do agree with this, though. Outside of those two, is not that stellar. There are good roles. There are some good movies he was in, but not. I mean, I don't think he carried it as an actor. Himself,
I think Regarding Henry was a good movie. I think Working Girl's good movies, but let's be real honest here. Was something like Working Girl, he was definitely not the main focus in that. He was Han Solo in that, man. He was more Han Solo than he was in Star Wars. He was a pretty guy. The real story there was between Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffith's character, man. I mean, that's where the conflict of the interest was. It wasn't with him. That could have been anybody, Good Lord.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So let's see what we got here. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, hey, Pat. Well, we got some time. I'm still waiting to see if about a little bit. I may keep going even if you have to drop, depending on how things go. Pat, I like this. Indiana Jones in the crystal wheelchair. And Brian,
Steve, did you steal that from me? I was about a year ago. I was throwing out the Indiana Jones and the Grand Cracker Hip, Indiana Jones and the walker with tennis balls. Crystal wheelchair is good though because he played in with some already existing thing with No,
I know, but hey, and Brian Hepburn like Witness. So, all right, well, let's look at a few more of these things though before we run out of time with you. And because like I said, I'll keep going as long as people want to go if they have stuff. But
cool. I know. By the way, I hate to ask this, but have we heard anything about Mark yet?
No, Mark had mentioned he probably would not make it because of having something done, but I don't know about Mark's show.
Well, I can tell you this. Let's do this. My dinner has been ready, and Mark usually goes about 45 minutes from now. But since it does not look like Mark's going to have anything tonight, I will hang with you till at least 9:30 your time, 8:30 my time. So.
Okay, that's about 15 minutes. Okay, about 15 minutes. Okay,
sounds good. Yeah.
Alrighty, sounds good.
At least 15 minutes. So there we go.
Okay, and if Clobby gets in, he's in transit and stuff, so that all happens. But I appreciate you being here. It's definitely been fun so far. I want to hit a few more of these things since you helped contribute to some of the stuff here. Brian Hepburn, like Blade Runner. Oh, God, snort a poopus. He's on a roll now. We got the bear on the rampage. Indiana Jones and the dental adhesive of doom. Yeah.
Is that the one where he lands his airplane on a golf course?
That could be, or he crashes the golf cart into the water. This, okay. I think Steve is hitting the nail on the head right here. Personally, I think that the reason he likes Indiana Jones movies, but not Star Wars, is because in Star Wars, he's just one of the game, not the focus. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, Mark's got a graduation today, some things like that too. So that's why.
You, so yeah, Steve, I missed last week completely, bro. So thanks for the heads up.
I sent the invite just in case he got time. He just wasn't sure on time. Clobby, I know, is in transit, so I'll keep going as long as people want to hang out. If they want to share movie, stories, I'll go. Because this is my last big stream for several weeks. Like I said, after tonight, I might do a gaming stream tomorrow night, but it's going to be that, or we're going to do some stuff. We're hoping to do some live streams on the road. We actually did a test one yesterday. It's on private. We didn't make it public, but we actually had 6 people. We went live and within minutes had 6 people that did it. We went about half an hour.
That's pretty cool.
Quality was good. People came in quickly, which kind of surprised us. We're looking at like things of Mount Rushmore, maybe Old Faithful, just some things like that. So we're thinking of some things.
Who's going on this one?
Just the missus and me and a bunch of her family. So
gotcha.
It's my gosh. I will play the Imperial March, but out of all respect to the one, the only, the great, the incredible Clobbering Times. Hell,
hey there.
Hey, Clobby.
Sorry to be late.
This is awesome for me, dude. I've always wanted to stream with this guy. This is great.
Yeah, like you have
a first time for
what's wrong with you, dude? Oh man, hey buddies. Yeah, sorry to be late, man.
Hey, no problem. Well, Pat's got about 15 minutes, so
can we honored to have Pat here. Yes.
Well, I don't think that there'll be the 10 o'clock show, but since you're just here, if you can go a little longer with me, we'll talk about what you think about the movie. I got some collectibles. Right. Let's talk through the collectibles, and then we'll come back to what you think about the movie. Would that work?
It's perfectly fine. I'm just
glad. And Clobby, anything you've owned in the past or own now, please throw out and tell us. Even though we don't have pictures of it,
I don't have much, but anyway.
But you did at one time,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
So we got 15 great people. Make sure you smash that like button, sub to the channel.
Oh, cool!
You guys are great. Thank you. And I tell you what, I'm among rock stars right now tonight. Pat S is like everybody's go-to guy out there. He's a wheeler and dealer of all the channels out there. And the great Clobbering Times is one of the best big booming voices on YouTube anywhere.
That's right.
Thanks, very buddy. Class act. So
hey, Maddie's daddy, Anonymous.
Absolutely. Yep.
Snorty.
Absolutely.
Snorty, where you been, man? Man, you been missing.
Yeah, everybody coming in saying hi. So
yeah, Brian, what's up, buddy? Brian.
Exactly. We got Brian Hepburn. The missus is out there. We've got quite a few people out there. Missus. So Stunning and Brave Megatron's here. So let's one point here, Clobby, before I get onto those collectibles real quick. Steve brought up this point. We talked about like Harrison Ford's thought about Han Solo, the whole thing about whether he should have died in Jedi or what the plans were and things like that, or his apparent attitude to the role. And now he dies as a deadbeat dad and the Mouse trilogy. But it's like Maddie's point is that he thinks that Ford might like the Indiana Jones because he's the star, whereas in Star Wars he's just one of the gang, but not the focus.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think that's a very salient point. That could be it. I have no knowledge of whether it's true or not, but it certainly sounds plausible considering the kind of guy he is. I don't know, but it sure is plausible. I can say that. I mean, it's a good guess, because who knows? But it's just I could look. If I were him, it would be tough for me to choose because I love them both. I might like it. Might be I don't know, man. Indiana Jones. I might like him a little bit better than Han. Even as a fan, I probably do a little bit. I love Han. Han is my favorite character of the Star Wars trilogy. Although Lucas
tells that.
So I love them both of them though. So I love Indy. I don't know which one of the two I love the most. The thing is, I love them both. I think he should love them both. Mm-hmm. But it's good. It's a good.
Yeah. And I have to be fair. I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I loved Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I sat in the theater and watched that over and over again. I was that
Mm-hmm.
weird kid that was defending Temple
Me
of
too.
Doom, where everybody was going like Temple of Doom's awful compared to the other two. I'm like,
I
you guys are
disagree.
crazy. Temple of the Dooms is
I love
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Clubby, now that I'm older, I really like him. Like, oh yeah, Temple of Doom's like the best. It's the darkest and the, you know,
Right.
great ending and stuff like that. Granted, it's not the momentous, like, I think that's part of what it is. It's like, going after the Ark of the Covenant and the Chalice of Jesus. Those are two pretty big deal
Yeah.
things. There's some real nice MacGuffins, but
Right.
And not some stupid alien thing like that crystal skull thing,
those
and then now this
and
Dial of
Dead Man, I
Destiny.
can't even imagine. I'm going to tell you guys right now, write it
Yeah.
down. I am not going to the movie theater to watch this new Indiana Jones thing. I have no interest in it whatsoever.
Well, I will tell
And
you,
this-
I was a few weeks ago when I saw, I think, the second trailer. The
Mhm.
second trailer came and actually was a good trailer, teased the right parts. But now, after hearing the reviews that have come out, and now that particular actress writer is like now supposedly the more involved than what they kind of hid it in the last trailer. But now it sounds like the stuff that might have happened is coming true. I would, it pains me.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Indiana Jones in the theater. Hear the John Williams soundtrack one more time in the theater. Something. And let me hit this too, because I know we got limited time on the things here. But what was great in 2020 was that I live, obviously in Florida. We stayed open pretty much. We did not close for very much, and our movie theater stayed open. One of the best things that happened was the movies from the 80s that replayed. I got to see Raiders on the big screen. I got to see uh, uh, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Back to the Future. But one of the ones, it was the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, and I got to see it ad nauseum. I went and saw it 3 times on the theater. I just like seeing the big screen appearance, and with that, when you watch that, you get that drum roll, the 20th Century Fox drum roll, and then you get the big blue words up on the screen. Then you get that trumpet blast and the word screening. That's one of the greatest movie moments of my life. It's something that I went and watched Jedi again a couple times just so I could see it again to get the stench out of the last 3 Disney movies out of my mind. So, but yeah, what did y'all think about that opening? What did that opening mean something to you, or was it iconic?
You talking about the
opening? About the opening, how you heard the drum roll, you saw the words, and then that blast. That's a fanfare.
I mean, it's not Star Wars without it.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It's probably, certainly with the 3 movies, anything with sequels and all that, it's probably the most iconic openings of any movies, right? I mean, like, it's been homaged and copied and ripped off multiple times, and none as great as the first 3 times we saw it. And I know it must have sounded like an absolute goofball, but I think it was 3 weeks ago we were on Mark's show, and I was just fascinated. I had never known until I was a grown man that was painted on or printed on glass, and they ran the camera down. I had no idea that's how they did that, and to me that makes it even more fascinating. But yeah, and of course, yeah, you can't forget the music. As a matter of fact, in New Orleans, what was it, about a year and a half ago or something like that, they had the traveling. Might have been a lot longer than that now that I'm thinking. The traveling show with the Star Wars music and the stuff behind it and everything. And I mean, the music is a character unto itself, just amazing, and
extraordinary.
Not using, I mean, it's epic. It's like something you would see from the 40s and 50s and 60s, a Cecil B. DeMille kind of thing. I mean, it's just incredible.
By the way, we got 15 people watching us. Make sure you smash that like button and sub if you haven't, because I tell you, we got a tie. We got 14 votes, and we are tied at 50-50 so far on what's your favorite action scene, non-Hoth from Empire. Asteroid Field Chase and Vader Luke duel in the Carbonite Chamber are tied at 50-50. We also have Yoda racing X-Wing from the water and Escape from Bespin Fight Chase as options, but hey, somebody break the tie. Go get your friends, dogs, neighbors, drunks, as Snort a Poop has said once. But yeah, bring them all in and let's have some fun. Now, with Clobby's here, we'll go a little bit longer. But let me hit a few of these things in moments with Pat real quick. Um, these are the glasses I have from Empire Strikes Back. I have 3 of the 4.
I had those. Oh my!
Yes, the Burger King glasses. And I'm going to flip to Pat's pictures. He's got a little better pictures than. See, Mrs. Obviously, you can tell when the Mrs. takes the pictures and when I take the pictures. She does stuff first class, great stuff. This was just the best I could do. So we'll look at Pat's pictures here. There's 2 of them here. You see, the Empire and glasses. We have
that Empire Boba Fett Darth Vader glass is so odd. The coloring on it and Boba Fett.
Yeah,
this looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Lando, man, and that cool cloud car, but
that's
exactly
incredible.
Yeah. So, and I like the way they recap the stories on the back of it. The synopsis of the story on the back.
And they name the glass. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got the other 2 here, which is the Hoth one with Luke on the Tauntaun, of course, 3PO and R2. Got shield generator, I think, back there, and then the Dagobah with the handstand Yoda there. So these are cool glasses. So
they're great. But did you notice Han gets really no play on any of these, man? Nothing big.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's on the. Is he on the Cloud City one? I think like towards the back.
He might be on the back. Let me see.
I'll have to pull it and look. Yeah.
If he is, he's on the back.
Yeah,
because I don't see him. I mean, see his Stormtrooper on the other side. But but see, I know he's on one of the Return of the Jedi ones at the bunker. He's on one of those. So.
Dadman, do you have my most recent Luke Skywalker glass picture?
I do, but I didn't want to post it.
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, it's a good story. I'll tell it real quick.
Okay, well, give me a second. Let me pull this down. Problem. So let me pull this down so I can do stuff the right way so I don't boomer it.
By the way, guys, I remember going to Burger King and asking the lady to actually put the drink. Now, this might have been Return of the Jedi because I'd have been a little bit older then. But actually asking the lady, like, can you please put my drink in the glass? And my dad holding the glass so we walked because we had a Burger King I lived in a really cool area where I was real close to like a mall and stuff and everything. And our Burger King was right there. And you could go see parades there and stuff and all. And him carrying it there and saying, like, you can't move it off the table and everything. You got to drink it, So I remember actually drinking out of those and buying multiple ones. That was the trick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I like drinking out of them too. My mom thought it was crazy. Of course, now, like I tell my wife that it's like tell her it's like how much lead's in them.
Not a ton. There was a story about that a lady. She was causing a lot of trouble. But look, Dad, man, let's be honest here. None of us are young. None of us are in top tip health. If anything, it makes our drinks taste a lot sweeter. That's why kids eat. You did know that, right? That's why kids eat lead paint chips.
Exactly.
They taste like candy, man.
Exactly. Well, this is what happened.
Yeah. So, Bobby and Dad, man, and chat. By the way, this is a good time for me to promote this. The guy that I'm sure everyone here has heard of, Pops, before. Pops and Loki and Ironcaster do a show together, and Pops does a lot of retro stuff, a lot of Saturday morning stuff. So I've been working with Pops. Pops is doing a big thing on the 25th, as he calls it, the real Star Wars Day, not the corporate evil Disney Star Wars Day, but the real Star Wars Day. And I was sending some pictures of stuff I had. So my oldest nephew was taking down the glasses because these are one of the few I don't have on display. They're on a top shelf in the kitchen. And he's pulling them down, dude. And when he does, this one flips behind him and lands on the counter and shatters it to about 30 pieces. And the look on his face, dude, I thought he was going to cry. And he's a grown man. He's 21 years old now. And I'm like, dude, it's cool. Yeah. This is not one of the ones, because I do have some. I said, this is not one of the ones from my childhood. I bought these aftermarket. This is actually the least. This is the Luke glass. It's the least expensive. There's a lot of them. I can get one for $10 on eBay or Etsy or something. It's not. And as a matter of fact, after sending you these pictures, Dadman, I actually went and bought one off of OfferUp. It's going to be in the mail tomorrow, so it's coming as a replacement. But Yeah, man, it was a bummer because it's like this is not something. Yeah, every time one of these breaks, man, that's one less on the earth. These are not going to ever be made or
Nope.
reproduced again. So you know,
Nope, not at
uh,
all. But yeah, that was when you showed that, I was like, holy crap! And it's like, oh man.
it was a
But yeah,
bummer.
oh yeah, obviously it is. So yeah, let me bring these back up. But yeah, that was crazy when you first saw me. I'm like panicking, like that's the original. But yeah, it's amazing what eBay and other things can do. And honestly, I've always been more of a traditional days, but as I get older, I'm getting a little more philosophical. I did the May 4th because you know what? It's fun. There's still stuff about Star Wars I like. I would have done the 25th, but say like today, we're doing this because today's the 43rd anniversary of the release of Empire Strikes Back. So I do mark anniversaries, but we're going to be on the road the 25th. So had to get it
I
in
will
while
tell
we
you this:
can.
a guy like Pops will tell you,
Yeah.
anytime you want to do something this month is a good. Anytime you're promoting
Exactly.
old classic good Star Wars, you're doing
Yep.
the right thing. It doesn't matter if you do it on the 1st or the 31st. You know,
It's like the great people of the 735 with their wonderful Star Trek show on Saturday nights.
Never heard of it.
season
Brian
last.
Hepburn. Brian says he has repros of the Empire Strikes Back ones I made for the 40th anniversary a few years ago. Sold in 4 packs at GameStop, but are juice glass size. Wow. All right, and Snorapoopas.
Brian, were they the exact replica?
Good night, Snorapoopas. Oh, and
Good night,
were they the exact replicas, though, Brian? That's the question.
Or that they do something different with them, because that's interesting. I might now. Brian's going to have me going on eBay after the show. And Dadman, real quick, would you pull up a couple of the other glasses that I had? Because now I'm interested in seeing if Clobby knows these.
Oh, look what the missus did! Old 6-pack beer carton stuck in a box of other stuff. But you kept them. You kept them. That's what's incredible, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go to.
And while Dadman's doing this, too, guys, another thing that meant a lot to me as a kid growing up, because I was lower middle class, was the cards. And we could talk about the cards in a minute. But all right, Clobby, do you know who that is?
I should, but I don't know why it's drawing a blank on me. Maybe
that's
I should.
Funny. It's Clobby. That was another thing when you were a kid, huh? That's Grimace, dude. That's Grimace from McDonald's.
McDonald's, yes. Yeah, okay, you got me.
So I have all the McDonald land glasses, and then now this one, Dadman, Clobby, I remember a little bit more because these actually came out in the mid-70s.
Okay, Ray.
So he might have actually had these as a kid. Show him the next glass.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh God, I love it so much. You have that,
dude? I have
beautiful.
All but one of the Pepsi glasses.
Oh man, and I noticed Pepsi's on the background.
Yeah, and guess which one I'm missing, guys? It's going to be hard to find. I'm missing the Batman one.
Oh.
I have two. Hey, I have 2 Robins and 2 Wonder Womans. If anybody wants to trade a Batman, hit me up.
That's wondrous right there. I love it.
Show them the front of it, dude.
Yeah, I'd like to see the front.
This is really. I took these pictures.
Too many. There we go. There you go.
Oh man.
I took pictures of a bunch of these and sent them to 24 one time when we were talking, Clobby, and
that's greatness, man.
But look how guys, the most important thing about this is those glasses are almost 50 years old. Look how great they look. Not just the artwork on them, but how well they stayed together and everything.
And these were where'd you get these again? Were they
I've collected these over the years. I got some at a garage sale one time. I bought some off of different places.
Pepsi or whatever. Or...
Yeah.
Nice.
I remember a couple when I was a kid. But there again, guys, I was kind of lower middle class. For me to get a glass was kind of a big deal. You guys are gonna laugh. What I really collected were, and Dadman, I'm sure you had this too in Florida, right? The icy cups.
Oh yeah,
like I collect the icy, the different sports teams, and the there was
and the
sci-fi monster one, Clobby. Do you remember that? The 20 sci-fi creatures.
Yeah. So I'm more. My memory is more for the superhero cups, and I did occasionally go to get the football team ones as well. The football cups.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, bunch of for some reason in my area constantly always had the Colts.
Oh gosh,
I noticed that. Now that you mentioned that.
Yeah. And hell to you, Small Town Republic. Good to see you. Yeah, he said hell. Shazam's face was based on Fred McMurray. Oh wow.
I didn't know that.
I
You
don't
learn
know.
something new every
That's
day.
interesting. Hey,
That's
well,
right.
welcome in.
That is true.
Welcome. Exactly. And of course, Stunning said the real Captain Marvel. Is it Marvel or Marvel?
No,
No.
this is Marvel. Marvel is
Marvel, okay.
is the Marvel one.
Yes.
Okay.
The Kree captain.
And
Okay.
he has
Well,
a
then
little
Maddie's
accent.
daddy's saying absolutely to
Oh yeah.
Stunning. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Steve would know.
Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's theorized, although it's been said by the creators a couple times that at least in theory that they. I mean, he was a fairly prominent actor before the character came out, but he was more big later in the 40s. But still, yeah.
I hear
Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
But I trust Steve on that kind of stuff. Steve could tell us who ran the craft services table at the ISIS show in the 70s. So, yeah.
that's too funny. It's too funny. But yeah. Oh my gosh, Steve knows a lot of stuff. Have to have Steve on sometime. Then obviously,
Indeed.
definitely great.
If you ever
Definitely
talk
great.
about the first movie, yeah, that's his favorite. His favorite is he didn't like the second one much, but he loves the original Star Wars from '77. He's a big fan.
I got to tell you, that original Star Wars movie, the older I get, that's the one I watch the most. And it's a pretty perfect movie. I mean, if you never had, and you said this earlier, Dave, man, if you never had a sequel to it, it's a standalone movie, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Much more than the other two,
Yeah.
Not to take
Because
anything away from the other two.
Empire needs the original.
Yeah.
Jedi needs Empire and the original. So yeah, but the Star Wars will stand alone forever on its own. So.
I love them both. I love them both almost on equal level, but Empire's my all-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's
it went
Han's
15
line.
to 16 times in the theater in 1980.
Right. You see, when I was
saw
a kid,
it 16 times. I got to see it only
16.
once. My parents were not big movie goers, so they had my cousin take me to watch it. I got to watch it one time at theaters. That's why in 97 or 97, I think was the re-release. Unfortunately, it was the special editions, but the missus and I got to, I went repeatedly, even without missus, but my wife is so good. We did this. I got to brag on her for a couple things. One, in 97, we went to watch Star Wars Empire Jedi back to back to back in the same movie theater all day. I mean, she went with me and we watched them all in order like that. There also is the woman that got up with me. We had a mother-in-law watching the kids when George Lucas was at Celebration in Orlando. They got up with me, got in line at 2:30 in the friggin' morning, slept on the sidewalk, slept on the carpet on the floor of a convention center to be with me so we could get in there in the auditorium where Lucas was live to see him interviewed. And we were really close, though, considering. And we got a bonus feature with Carrie Fisher popping in. So, I mean, that's how good the missus is, and I got to throw out to her all the time. So,
gentlemen, I will say this. We are very lucky. The generations before us, before movie theaters, certainly, and even in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, as great as those movies were, if you were a kid or a young person, especially in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you got to do things like go to a midnight movie and stand in a parking lot till 4 a.m. and then go to school or work the next day and all that, that is the likes no other generation will ever see. We lived truly in a golden era to be able to do that. And I tell this story a lot, and I don't hear a lot of people repeat what I say. Maybe my parents weren't as good of parents as I thought, but I honestly remember going to movies at like 10:30 in the morning during the summer and sitting there and watching the same movie over and over again. And as long as you were either spending money or behaving yourself, the movie theater people didn't care. There were no assigned seats back then. But I just remember watching movies over and over until it was nighttime outside and you go home, And that was just what you did on a Tuesday, maybe. And Wednesday you went out and played Army, and that kind of stuff. But I remember doing that too, and it was just, you can't do that now, and it's unfortunate. But then again, what movies would you want to sit through over and over again? I guess is the answer now. But yeah, I mean, I remember sitting through the Indiana Jones movies, the last two as a child that I saw like that, and watching it over and over again. Return of the Jedi over and over again.
But see that was the thing. I got to do that when I became an adult, when I had my own income, my own transportation, because I would go watch Jurassic Park 10 times in the theater. I would, or go binge watch something again and again multiple times, and like I say, I try not to talk bad about my parents or disrespectful because they did the best they could, and and they did things, and they let me do stuff when I got more independent to drive and stuff like that. But it's just different time, different generations.
Sure.
And it was a lot more expensive than what they were used to. So
fair enough.
Yeah,
I think out of the three of us, Clobby probably had the parents with the most disposable income. Would that be fair to say, Clobby?
I doubt it, but I have no idea what you guys had, but it didn't exactly.
Well, yeah, you missed it again.
It was mine was not necessarily mine was not necessarily income. Mine was just, I think, interest. I don't think my parents just really had an interest of going to movies and things like that. I think really that was the main thing with them.
We weren't rich, if that's what you mean, but I don't know.
Well, we were working class guys. We were like lower middle class. My dad was a non-commissioned officer in the Marine Corps for a while and had a side business. My mom took care of us, and there were 3 kids, and then a cousin who lived with us for about 8 years, who's like a sister to me. And that's, I mean, we always had something to eat, and we had stuff, we got to go to Kmart once a week, like I was saying earlier, and always got to get a book. That's why comic books and Mad Magazine meant a lot to me, because you could always get one of those. I had good grandparents too that were willing to spend a couple bucks on you. So, and it was always the hustle too. I mean, I don't know did you guys ever do that? Did you ever go like, I really want this, so I'm going to go out and cut a lawn and get this money, and then I'm going to go buy a Mad Magazine and a Cracked magazine, and I'm going to take it home and read it. Or I really want this G.I. Joe thing, so I'm going to go pull weeds in a lawn and get that and stuff. And, and then I was real lucky when my dad had his own business. Then it would be like, okay, well, look, if you clean this air conditioning, this outside window unit, if you clean it out for me, I'll give you $5. And, $5 was a lot of money. So it was a good deal. Absolutely. Little did I know he basically tricked me. It was like when I was when I was like 10, you just give me $5, but now I'll do this when I'm 12 and I get $5. Okay. But it was real big. You had to earn your way in my family. Everybody had like little things they had to do, and
and the missus said they go in the morning and theater jump from movie to movie, and so the small town Republic saying parents will take their kids to the new Little Mermaid movie as punishment. So, and then Maddie's Day said, Clobby and I used to go to $2 Tuesdays at the Bon Marche Mall.
That's right.
Oh, you gotta love those discount days.
Oh yeah,
you gotta love those discount days. So,
and then later we had, of course, there were a lot of dollar theaters in our. Around the 90s, they started coming up with a bunch of these dollar theaters that would show second run. In other words, stuff that had already been in its run in the theater, but it would like just toward the end.
Yeah, before DVDs came out, or VHS tapes, but afterwards. Yeah, down here, I don't know
if had VHS
had those, Clobby, but down here they were all the WRNO theaters. So the Costello family owned all those theaters, and they were $1, And then I remember after 5 they would be $2, right?
Exactly. And the missus said they would collect soda bottles and redeem them to get money for the movies or whatever they wanted to do. So, absolutely. All right. Well, let me do something real quick before we go. Let me go ahead and close the poll. Well, no, I'm going to leave it open because we're still at 50-50. So, somebody vote. We need one more vote to break the tie, hopefully. But
if not, since Clobby's new tonight, he could settle it.
No. Yeah. I got a poll. The poll is on the YouTube side. What is your favorite non-Hoth action scene? Asteroid field chase, Carbonite chamber, which is a Vader Luke duel, Yoda racing the X-wing from the water, or escape from Bespin fight chase. So those are the choices. We need somebody to break the tie on the poll tonight. So
I already voted.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow. Okay. Well. All right. Well, Stunning said my dad would have to change in his truck anytime me and brother scored a goal in hockey. That's cool. Well, we got 14 votes. 15.
Yeah, I got 15
all right.
Now, yeah.
All right. We got
tie broken.
All right. Well, I will leave
it there. You got to close the poll then.
Okay. Let me close
it quick.
You don't have to, but yeah.
No, I'll leave it open a few more minutes. That way I can maybe get somebody else to vote. But hey, all right. So it's got the lead. All right. I left a comment for you two guys in the private chat. I have no clue what time So I do want to
so
try to.
this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hop off and eat real quick.
Yeah.
That way somebody's at least with him at 9:00.
Yeah.
And then you guys could wrap up here and then grab a little
Right.
because I'm sure Clobby probably wants to grab a
Is
snack
he-
or something before he goes.
Yeah, he
Is he
is.
going to be on at 9?
I don't know
didn't-
if it's at 9 or not, but
He didn't say a time. He
He's
said he's going to do a short stream, but I'd like to try to finish up what we got here first.
A short
Yeah.
one.
Absolutely. So,
So,
okay.
Dadman, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I just want to
Yep.
pump, just kind of throw out a couple things.
Go ahead.
Like I
yes,
said,
please.
all day on the 25th, Pops. Look him up. He's doing Star Wars stuff. He's done some pre-records. He's going to do an awesome one with my other good buddy, Brandon, the anime guy. They talked about that TIE Fighter anime short that came out a few years ago, which is really awesome and very detailed. And if you like TIE Fighters, it's a must-see. And certainly every Saturday with Brandon, the anime guy. And over the summer, he's going to do Tuesday and Thursday nights, too. So that should be a lot of fun. So you could always find me there. And if you guys ever need me for anything or have any questions or any recommendations for any of the shows I work with, you can always DM me.
And your Shrimp Lightning on Twitter also?
Lighting Shrimp.
Shrimp.
Lighting,
Okay.
yes. If you've never heard the story of how Purple Valkyrie helped me come up with my name, and then she told me, "Oh, Pat dear, you spelled lighting, lighting." So it's like the lighting and like in a lamp store, Lighting Shrimp.
All right. Well, that's
but
a nice
if you
story
go
to have.
if you go look and see who Clobby and Dadman and Brandon and Mark C are following, I'm in there. So you can it says Pat S, and I have a Deep Six next to me, Deep Six from G.I. Joe, my other favorite action figure line next to Star Wars. So I'm easy to find and everything. But yeah, you guys hang and all. I'm gonna go tell Mark we're right behind him. I'm gonna grab a quick plate and eat that. And I guess I'll see you guys in a few.
Okay.
I do.
Well, all right,
guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll be over there at some point. I just want to spend some time with Clobby
send the chat
now.
over, guys. Perfect.
All right.
Night
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Pat, for being here for so long. All right, Clobby. How are you, my friend, tonight?
All right, I guess, man. Just hanging out. I didn't know Mark was going to be doing one. So.
I didn't either. I just saw it in the chat because a mutual friend had asked, and I think he's doing a short one from what he said. So, but I'd like to spend a few minutes with you, my friend, on this topic because I thank you for the wonderful shout out you did last night at the beginning of your show.
No problem.
I mean, it was really an honor. It was such a great intro. But hey, if I heard you correctly, did you say that this is your favorite of the Star Wars movies?
It's my favorite of all movies.
Of all movies. Please go ahead. Tell us why it's your favorite movie.
Well, sometimes I vacillate between this and Superman, the movie from 1978. But I saw this in 1980. I went, I don't know, 15 times or better, maybe 16, somewhere up in there. And I was just, when it came out, I was just south of 16 years old. I remember I went and got my first driver's license with my Empire Strikes Back shirt. For years I had that was the shirt of I was wearing my driver's license picture. I was a freak for it, of course. I remember the week before the movie came out, they brought Star Wars back to the theaters for a week, and I got to go see that again, before this one came out. And of course I bought the comic book adaptation, the novel, but of course I flipped it, but I didn't really know what was going to happen. So we went at 4:50 in the afternoon. I can't tell you the date precisely because back then I don't know if it was the first showing in our town in Baton Rouge, but I don't know if we got it the same national release date. So I couldn't tell you if it was exactly on the 21st or not. We may have gotten it then. Oh, I'm sorry, that more noise going on.
Oh, no
That's
problem.
my reminder that I usually have for a March show.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went that first showing and I was absolutely blown away. I was obviously, even though I loved it, you walked out of that theater in 1980 in emotional turmoil and distress because of the cliffhanger, because of what happened to Han, because of the revelation, and my reaction to Luke's reaction, to Luke, the revelation, the reveal was the same as Luke's.
Yeah,
he was uttering my words that I was speaking inside. I was probably yelling the same word. I was no way. I had the It's amazing how, and they couldn't have known this, I guess, that, and I'm not the only one that was yelling the same thing. No way. Now, and I was convinced that Vader was lying.
Yep.
Until I didn't start to buy into it until about the time when they started, communicating telepathically while Luke was in the Falcon. They were still trying to get away, and he called him father, son, and
Yes.
I was just, man, oh man, was I torn to pieces.
Oh, I
So
know.
much so that we tried to hide down in our seats so we could watch it again. I went with my brother, a friend of mine, and a cousin. Four of us. I
You're
drove
so
us there.
stunned. You're so stunned. You're like, did I really just see this?
I didn't believe it, and we were willing to wait and watch it again, but we got caught.
Yeah.
Can't stay in here, stupid kids. So we went back to the 9 some-odd feature that night.
Well,
So I saw the first, same time.
One thing I'd mentioned to Pat earlier was, this is the first time I'm right at 10 years old, 9, 10, when I saw it. And it's the first time I remembered seeing a movie that didn't have a happy ending. And that stuck with me and kind of bothered me at the end. Like, you're ending now? Where's the rest? I mean, that good guy's supposed to win at the end. The guy gets the girl, all these happy endings. And it's the first time I remember seeing a movie that did not end on a high note. Could have been a lot lower, but I don't know. I don't know how that might have been kind of how you felt with that, because I was like, I thought movies were always supposed to end happy.
Yeah, it was. I put it this way: I wasn't sure it was going to be a cliffhanger. Who did know that? And it ended on a downer note.
Yeah.
But I had seen things that led into the cliffhangers before. But yes, it was a shock to the system. I'm not sure. People who just had loved the first movie and went to see it and didn't know, and you could have known, I guess, if you'd read the comic of the book. And I didn't. I had him. I think I flipped the book, but I didn't read the last part. I didn't read all. I just kind of looked at it, the pictures, like the brilliant art by Alan Williamson. But I didn't. And there's a grass field now where that the movie theater is where I saw it. But so it was a shocker, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And I loved it all up until that point. I'm like, oh no, you can't do this to me. And I had but in the best of ways. Now I do know some people. Over the years, I have actually talked to some people that hate it for that reason, that it did that to them, and it made them wait 3 years. Not only that, they just figured they think a lot of things. They didn't think it should be a cliffhanger, in like the first movie. But I came to think that no, that's cool. Now we got more. We know we're getting another one. Now we know we're going to see more story. We know he'll be all right. It was an interesting 3 years between movies because comics was changed a little bit. What's going to happen to Han for 3 years? We wondered. But no, I kept going back and back and back so many times. Probably would have gone more. A couple other movies started coming out, but not too long.
Absolutely.
The Sam J. Jones / Gordon movie came out. I went to see that a bunch of times after that. The Battle Beyond the Stars, a couple other movies. But whenever I got a chance, I went to Empire as many times as I could and just loved it more and more.
One of the biggest scenes to me was always seeing the AT-ATs. Just was, the big, terrifying, big vehicles just stomping. It seemed almost unstoppable. These little guys with blasters, and even the speeders could not do much with them. So it was to see that on the big screen was. And some people say it doesn't matter where you big screen, little screen, but I'm sorry, Star Wars is one of those franchises to me that unless you have a very expensive top of the line secure playing system at home and surround sound and all that, it does make a difference seeing it on that big screen with that theater sound. I believe, but it makes it a better experience. Because when I watch a movie at home, I'm kind of distracted, moving around, other stuff like that. But if I go to the movie theater, I'm immersed in it. There. At least that's the way I think with movie theaters.
No, I understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there any particular scene that you like the best in the whole thing, the whole movie?
Well, of course. Oh man, it's tough to pick a great one. I love, probably, if I picked I love a lot of the stuff between Han and Leia, and I'm not usually into the mushy stuff. The asteroid chase, of course, all the stuff, the battle of Hoth. There's so much. I think maybe actually it is probably the champion scene for me. Is as much as I love the asteroid chase, and what were the choices that you put up there?
Oh, the asteroid chase is the one you voted for. Yeah.
Which is your favorite? See, I voted for the asteroid chase because it says action scene.
Yep. Okay.
But actually, Yoda raising the X-wing, as far as just all scenes, might be my favorite scene. That bit blew me away. Unbelievable, beautiful music, and it showed you something that we had not yet seen. This movie does an ingenious job of slowly revealing to you things that the first movie did not set us up for. For example, because some of the stuff wasn't ready. Some of the stuff hadn't been thought up yet for sure, because a lot of this comes from Lee Brackett's brilliant script. And not John Kasdan either. Lee Brackett, the brilliant lady science fiction writer who passed away before the movie came out. In her original script, in her initial script. Some of the more of the stuff about the Force and the mysticism and things, we didn't see much at the end. By the end of the Star Wars film, all we knew was we knew things about the Force. This one, automatically, what do we get? Early on, at the outset of the film, Luke not only has a lightsaber, he uses telekinesis to bring it to him to, chop himself down and take down the Wampa. Then later, we see how, Luke seems more powerful when he takes down an AT-AT by himself. Then we see Luke, slowly, we still don't know anything. We don't know what the Force really makes someone capable of. Well, we see Obi-Wan's ghost earlier, but when we start hearing Obi-Wan, we've heard him before. Seeing the ghost was impressive. But then, for the first time, and this is after we get a pretty crazy scene where he's down into the bowels of Dagobah and fights as himself, when we see Yoda lift that X-wing out of the swamp, is our first inkling of how powerful a Jedi can be. And that was thrilling. And that was one of easily the most important scenes in all of Star Wars. And it's a defining scene for the Jedi going forward after that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it really set us up for something we had never even been teased with, the power that the Force could be. We saw a little bit in the Star Wars with the Jedi mind tricks and some little things like that, but not that the power of the Force could move big objects. We saw earlier in little stones, but the fact that it could take a thousands of pound vehicle, lift it up out of the force of the water holding it down, just bringing it up from the depths up and moving it and landing it, on shore, was amazing. And you're like, wow, is this magic, or is this something more than magic? It really was astounding. And I think that's a good point, that we were not prepared for that. We just thought that they were just we were just kind of like little mind tricks, and you could maybe move something here or there, but not full vehicles.
No, I mean, again, just one thing to him uses telekinesis on a lightsaber. And then later he's hanging, he's moving, like he says, master moving stones around is one thing, but this is totally different. No different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned. I mean, you're sitting there. Obviously, the movie's great. You're engrossed in it. But did you expect a guy to be able to lift with his, this little frog to be able to lift with his mind? An X-wing fighter. That's just, for the first time, that's one of the most magical scenes in all of movie history, in my opinion. Beautifully filmed, and the music by the brilliant John Williams is just extraordinary. That's one of the greatest of all moments in cinema history for me, because I'm like, I did not expect this. And when he basically says, when he tells Luke to do it, you're like, wow, he's telling him that he can lift a spaceship out of the water? Come on.
Yeah, that's impossible.
Once he does that, you're like, whoa. And then when you realize, and I'm sorry, I get noise. That's my alarm.
Yeah.
Tell me about Mark's show.
Yeah.
It's an automatic even when my sound on my phone off,
I got you.
Comes
you
up.
got to have reminders. I have to live with reminders. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So when that happens, you're like, oh no, you kidding me? He's telling Luke to do that? No. And then they still, so they're telling you that, he says, I'll give it a try. When he can't do this, you want the impossible. And then he just turns around, we hear this music, we see Yoda, and you're just like awestruck. I can't believe they're going to do this.
Exactly. And then he turns it around as Luke's like, that's impossible. And he's that's why you fail,
Yes, I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't believe it.
That is why you fail.
Yes,
powerful
exactly.
stuff, beautiful stuff. Just I love this movie. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, let me show you a couple things. I think one of the other things that we talked about earlier was the moment that it seemed like Darth Vader through this whole thing was the ultimate bad guy. Power, and he came off like it. You believed he was bad because he executed Admiral Ozzel for a mistake. He executed Captain Nita for failing to capture Falcon. And you kept waiting for him to kill Admiral Piet at the end when the Millennium Falcon got away. But it was like, so somebody pointed out earlier, it's like the first time we see a possible softening in Darth Vader, because he looked down, he looked up, and he walked. He could have taken his anger out on Nita, but he didn't. He just walked on. But it's like that point where he was teleconnecting with Luke. It's almost like you start to see Darth Vader, that little glimmer of the light side still in him, the good side that Luke said he saw.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very valid point. It was like, because the whole movie, everybody, if you screwed up, you were gone. I mean, you look at Admiral Piet, the actor did great because he looked, I called it a poop in your pants moments, because Vader's walking right by him, and it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, he's going to kill him, and he didn't. He just went on. So, yeah. Well, I got a couple things too.
Sure.
Think if there's anything else you want to say with the movie, let me know.
Good.
And we'll go with this. But I wanted to get your opinion. These are some of the comics I have.
Okay.
That are from the actual the editions that were related to the movie. You can see 50 Cent comics. Right. But they did have the whole Star Wars line, but they also, that were not related to the original movie or not, to Empire. But it's like they worked. They had the movie novelizations, but they also worked them into the comics. Do you know much about the history of these comics or this series in particular? These are four of the ones from the Empire series, actually.
Yes. First of all, when they what they would do is, when the first film came out, the first 6 issues of the comic book, which had a lot of different variations on the printings of the first issue and even the second, adapted the first film from loose scripts and stuff. So there's some differences. Then, of course, from issue 7 on up, there were new stories with the characters and such. And then issue 38, I think it was, or whatever. Well, either 38 or 39. Before that came out, right before the movie came out, they released a couple different versions of the comic book adaptation. First, it was in Marvel Super Special number 16. So I always forget the number. Maybe 60, 15, 16, 17, somewhere up in there, but it was a magazine-size format. Okay. And then they also had a little book-size format that was also condensed from that. And actually, some of that art was done so early that Yoda, if you look in those comics, is very different. He's like a little rat dude. He doesn't look like he does in the movie. Then later they redrew it for these later editions. Now, what you're looking at here is neither of those two. It's not the book, of course. It's not the magazine. Later in the monthly Star Wars publication, after issue 38, which was after the Michael Golden issue, was 37, 38, whatever it was. I'm bad at numbers. After that, they serialized the magazine Marvel Super Special adaptation into, I want to say 4 issues of the bag, but maybe those 4, or maybe 6. I'm not sure how many issues because I can't see the issue numbers on there.
Issue looks like 42 is the bottom left, 44 is the bottom right. Looks like 41 to the top right, and maybe 40 in the top left.
Okay, so they may have it looks like they chopped it.
Yeah, that makes sense. 40 top left is Empire. We have
41.
Hoth and AT-ATs. 41's the chase scene.
Okay.
42 would be the bounty hunters, and then 44,
Right.
skip 43. 44 would be the duel on the in Bespin.
And after that, they went back to doing news stories. So
yeah, because I remember the news stories. I have some others with the news stories, like villains you've never heard of that were not.
Yeah, there were. In other words, the first 6 issues of the comic were adapting the first movie. These 4 issues were, and by the way, there were all other editions of all the adaptations. It wasn't until Return of the Jedi came out that they gave it its own series and didn't put it in the regular Star Wars series. So after these were printed, it went back to having new stories with the characters, and they had to find a way to what are we going to do to the next movie? We don't know what's going to happen because Lucasfilm never communicated with Marvel very much on stuff, so they had no idea what was going to happen in Return of the Jedi. So they had to find a way to do stories with Luke doing his own thing, and Leia, and it was Lando and Chewie become buddies, and we had to find some excuse for them to, they were looking for Han, and they, and it's just obviously they had to fill up 3 years of not having Han back. So,
yeah, I know.
But anyway, so that's what you have there. You have the adaptation of the film, which has seen various formats.
Yeah, absolutely. So that
39. There you go. Small term. So it's 39
39 to
44. There you go. So maybe I guess it was 5 then. So and
39, 40, 41, 42, 43. No, it'd be 6. It's 6.
It'd be 6. Did you do 6?
It'd be 6. Yeah.
Right,
so what I'm missing are 39 and 43.
I'm bad at math. So yes. Okay. So the last one before they started adapting, it's interesting. The was a fill-in story that was just about Luke and Leia by Michael Golden, and the one before that has a panel at the end where Han Solo is shooting a guy, and the guy turns out there was a bounty hunter who tried to kill him, and he says Jabba Hutt basically has put a higher price on your head. You're a wanted man, Solo, and I'm not the best to come after you, only the first. So he kills the guy. Then in the film, there's a reference when she says, Han, I thought you were going to stay with us. He said, well, the bounty hunter I ran to at Ord Mantell changed my mind. So they actually put it in the comic before. Yeah,
absolutely.
So we're shooting.
Yeah, I thought these comics were really, really cool, and these are the ones that I managed to pick up. I showed you earlier the Jumbo Marvel edition from Star Wars.
Okay,
another week that we.
Oh, okay, good. We'll look at them sometime for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, because it's really cool to hear the story about the story, because we've been talking from the movie by itself, but this is part of a much larger universe. It's in a way its own expanded universe. We focus on the novelizations for the expanded universe, but there were all the comic series back in the 70s, 80s, and this predated Dark Horse and all the other things when everything else took off. So there's
about
really
107 issues of the Marvel comic.
Wow, that is interesting. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing the knowledge on that.
Annuals, by the way. Oh wow, look at it.
Here, this is something. My sister made this for me. It's a ceramic lamp.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh,
the missus wants to get a new lampshade for it, maybe Star Wars material themed and stuff like that.
That's beautiful.
And Woopa Troopa. Hey, Woopa. Star Wars comics, yes. There are several types. If I can show you another one some other time. But the whole series of comics, like Claudia said, 107 issues. Some varied, based on the movies, and others had all kinds of new adventures, new villains, new good guys, new characters in it. So, exactly, there were 50 cents back then, folks. And I tell you what, the missus and I talked about that recently because Clobby had a little short series on them for a while, the spinner racks. And I tell you what, I miss those. We've talked about that. Thanks. We used to we miss those, and we really miss the spinner racks because we don't. Who has bookstores near them? The old days where you could just go in a minute market or convenience store, go in there. I could, they were accessible. You could buy them. They're right there, and you could buy them, pull them off a rack. Sure. I was a sucker for comic cover art, and that art would get me to buy something. And and just but now you can't find them. You
There we
got to
go
go
again.
out of your way to find them. But hey,
All right, let's keep. See, this goes up. Even though I have
yeah,
my sound down, the app overrules it for the stupid.
I
That's
know.
an automatic one for certain
It's
shows.
okay. I got you. I understand. Small Time Republic says those last 10 to 20 Star Wars comics from the original run were strange. Big
Yes.
green pirates and such. They had one that I remember,
Yeah, that's some weird ones.
a guy with like a pink outfit and big goggles or something. Yeah, they had some very strange.
They did have some odd stuff.
Painted Death Star colors, add the circle. And Woopa Troop said, but Darth Vader's on the dark side. How can he be light? Well, he did. Oh, man. Well, now this question about Spinnerax messing up comics, would that be the fault of the store, like trying to jam too many in?
Yes.
Okay.
But pretty much, yeah, they're not good for a comic. No, I mean, a Spinnerack's not good for the spines of comics. No, especially when you try to put too many of them.
Well,
but, at the time, they weren't on there all that long. I mean, unless they just crammed them on there. But yeah, I liked it better when they were on like magazine racks. Even though I love me a spinner rack, though,
I know. Well, I just like the availability, and that's really where I'm getting is that they were more available. Now you got to either buy them online, or you got to go to a bookstore. And see, to me, I impulse buy. If I see it, I like it, I'll buy it. I'll give it a try. So that's kind of what I look with that. Yeah, and like Anonymous says, it's a black light, Woopa. Hey, so this was the Han Solo blaster from, and this was actually one strictly from The Empire Strikes Back with the movie. So
oh my, it's better than my orange one I got later for that stupid Power of the Force.
Oh, that orange tip thing? Yeah.
I'm that one that is completely orange.
Oh,
all orange. They put out one in the 90s, and my kids were young. I wanted them to have a Star Wars thing, so I bought it from them. It was idiotic because the whole blaster is orange.
I wouldn't buy it, because I want it to look realistic. This is when we grew up. We had real toy guns, and we had things like that.
Young kids. So
yeah,
what could I do?
I know. Well, you try to train them young. You had to go with what you got. But
look up. They were at the right perfect age to go see the special editions in '97. So I was so excited to bring them to see those. And and I'm glad they had a good time, but I was pretty aggravated by what they did in the special editions.
No, I understand. I understand that. It's like the prequels were not the best, but it was great. My oldest especially got to see the originals in the theaters, and then got to see the prequels as they came out, and was really into it. And not the best. I have my complaints with it, but really still, it was still a chance to share those memories, and things like that. So, but yeah, we got that, and this is a Boba Fett helmet we bought at a yard sale.
Nice.
And got it signed by Jeremy Bullock.
Nice.
And this was signed at a Star Wars weekend, which is something I need to find other shows and do a special with the talking about that. Great. Disney used to have at Hollywood Studios in Orlando, what they called Star Wars weekends, and they'd have actors there. If you got there early enough, you got free autographs. You just had to get in line early enough to get the ticket to get in line for them and stuff like that. And he was a kind man, a very good, very, very nice person to have met. So we throw him in here because we got our first in the movies Boba Fett sighting. So, and which we saw. I mean, it was really, really cool. We know he was on a holiday special where he was introduced, but this, in terms of the movies, was the first time where we saw him. And Mrs. says the Boba helmet was from his sister. Oh, okay. The Slave One, which is the next thing. This is from the yard sale here.
Nice.
And
one of those.
And we've got it. He signed it, but we also got Tamura Morrison, who was Jango Fett, and we got Daniel Logan, who played the young Boba Fett. All three signed this particular craft.
Cool. Nice.
So that's some of the collectibles too with this too that we've got here. But basically, that's I think that's where we go with that. And Claudia, I'll show you this since you were not here earlier. I don't mind showing this, especially if people came in. This is a 33 record. It's a read-along storybook, and I tell you, Well, and the thing is, we didn't have VCRs and stuff like nowadays. That's all we had. We had to go based on our memories and stuff. And it's a read along book and RTD2 beep and see you'd play it. This thing still plays right, believe it or not. It still plays well. Although I did find a mistake in the book because they kept saying it said in the book that and in the recording that Darth Vader was on his Star Destroyer, the Avenger. Well, no, we know it was the Executor. So just one of those things as an adult, but as a kid, you didn't know, you didn't care. It was like, yeah, like Whoopa says, if I had to go off my memory, it would not go well. Oh hell,
I'm with you there, boy. I know that for sure. But I remember this.
Yep.
See, I didn't get much from the movie back when it came out, but I had the die-cast, the Millennium Falcon, of course, the one that was about the size of your hand. I love that, and it flew everywhere. I mean, how much fun I had flying that thing through asteroids feels in my mind, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Flying around the house. Yes, I was almost 16 years old, but I had to have that, and a couple of the other, the Bestman Luke and the, and the Hoth Han and that stuff. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. No problem with that. But yeah, this is one of my prize collections, though. One of the things of the prize collections is, having this stayed in good shape for so long. So it just, it was like the DVD before DVDs, or the VHS before you had VHS. It was that thing that you could look at and, really, hey, this brought back memories of the movie and to watch it. So, especially back then when if it wasn't playing in the theater, you didn't have it. And for so long, even though cable was coming out, a lot of people didn't have cable or the rights issue, because I don't really ever remember any of the Star Wars movies on cable at all over the years. I remember that they, the first time I ever saw it was like TNT and those others when they got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I barely remember what I had for yeah. Right there with you, Mrs. Dadman.
Yep. So, yep. Yep. So anyway, I got to close my poll too.
Yep.
So let me see. Let me flip over there.
Yeah.
We still got 13 people watching us. We got 15 votes. Hey. All right. I'm going to close the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I will close it now in the poll, and we will see what we are at. And now, what is your favorite action scene, non-Hoth from Empire? Asteroid field chase, 53%. The duel in the carbonite chamber, 46%. Yoda raising the X-wing from the water and escape from Bespin, 0. So, hey, well, we got 15 votes. Hey, Jeremy, Russia approved. Welcome in. Hey. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend.
Rigged.
Good to see you. So, hey, all right. So we still got 14 of you great people here with me tonight. I'm glad to see you and all that stuff. So, hey, it's like sometimes it keeps on going. You know how that goes. All right. Well, Clobby, any other things from the movie that you want to talk about? Any other big points that, that we may not have covered or talked about since you've been here?
No, not really. I mean, I just love it. I'm glad you're celebrating it on this day to celebrate for it for sure. Yep. So, and you've done, like I said, you've done a great job of covering them. You've been on a while. So you've been talking about it for a good while, and it is. I just love it to death. So I'm glad you are handling that. I'm glad you are talking about it. So,
well, I'm going to keep going ahead for a few more minutes. So, Clobby, I know you have to go. So, appreciate you being.
Come see us when you get done.
I'll try to. I got a few things to deal with, and we're trying to get ready. But hey, let's make sure if you're available, can you make sure Clobber and Tom's gets? Can you get his link out in the chat? We love it because, folks, if you love Star Trek, which is the other franchise, go check out Clobber and Tom's channel because the Saturday Night Star Trek show is the place to go if you want real Star Trek. The 735, right? 735. Indeed. Yeah, exactly. Okay, they consider the real Star Trek from the original series all the way to 2005.
Real deal.
All right. So hey, they're proud. They take their pride in real Star Trek. Like we take pride in our real Star Wars.
There you go.
And it's just great people. Great. They love their franchise, and they're even if you don't agree with their opinions, they love all opinions. They love. I know I don't see a lot to eye to eye with Raquel or you a lot of times on some of those episodes, because especially I'm the shooter bang bang episodes, but it's all good. It's a great family over there, and everybody's free to have fun. And great to see it. And also check out Clubby's comic books. If you love the comic book stuff, his knowledge, his love for comics comes through, passion, and definitely if you like Jack Kirby, definitely a place to be. And you can learn a lot about the business of the comic books industry if they were clobbering. Clobbering, do you want to say anything else before you go?
No, just thanks for having me, buddy.
It's always
I appreciate it, man.
It's always an open invitation to you whenever you want to come by, man.
I appreciate
it.
And I can't wait to see you guys. So thanks a lot, and I hope we see you over there tonight with us.
Okay,
at least come stop by and say hi.
I'll try my best. Yeah, and
we'll, brother.
If not,
if it's not Biggie, we understand, but we're gonna busy. But
we'll definitely see you Wednesday, though, Clobby. Looking forward to seeing you. All right, man.
Absolutely. Take care. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you.
Yep. And there goes the great Clobbering Toms. And seriously, go check them out, especially if you are into Star Trek and comics, and it's definitely the place to be. So, great friend of the channel, great promotion of other people. He's a wonderful guy. So, check it out. So, we got a few more minutes here. If anybody that's come in late, if you got, what are some of your favorite memories from the movies? Some of your favorite lines, some of the things that we talked about earlier. So since this is show and tell, I'm going to take a couple minutes because I don't like ending on the 40-minute thing. I'm going to take a look at some things. I'm just trying to make sure I got everything properly protected and all that stuff. You know how, because Dadman likes to boomer, and Dadman will boomer big time if he's not careful and show all kinds of silly stuff. So let's let me take that down. There you go. And so let's see, just to show a couple things that we got here. I'm going to do a couple other general Star Wars things just for the fun of it, since I can. And like I said, this will be the last stream that we have for a while. It's a real stream. Tomorrow night, I may try to do a game stream of some type, probably Atari and football, since I finally figured out how to play the game by the time it was over. But just, so just keep an eye on us with Twitter, dadmanwalking55.com for the latest of what goes. Just not to repeat stuff too much. I had kind of referred to this earlier. If you're new and have not seen here, I had mentioned to Clobby about this. It's the Marvel jumbo version of the Star Wars. I think this was 2-set edition. So, and Stunning said he really wish he had those little Star Wars coloring booklets I made when I was in elementary school. Got thrown out a long time ago. I understand that. I understand that. Yeah, and the missus said, if you haven't, use the Force to hit like button. So, and I thank you. We got 14 people still here with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. And, like I said, in the remaining time, make sure you share stuff with us if you have any memories. It's all important. Like I said, there's reference to people with absolute dates, and it's got to be this date and all. And I kind of, part of me is like that too. It is, but as I get older, I sort of like, why fight some things? I just enjoy it. I mean, to me, the whole month of May is a reason to celebrate. And granted, I don't necessarily celebrate this new stuff, but I do celebrate the good part of that I like of Star Wars. And that's what I choose to focus on, is staying positive. I mean, you can still stay positive and stay loyal to your old stuff if you want to. Look at the good stuff, and really enjoy it and talk about it. You can compare and contrast it with the new stuff, and that's really what's important to me. So to have fun with it, to enjoy what we're doing, to keep it alive. It is what it is. It's where it's going to go. Doesn't matter. It's, but we have what we love. And hopefully y'all have enjoyed some of this stuff too. And since I've got y'all, since we still have 14 people, I showed the Empire toys real quick. These are some things I've shown before, but the LPs from the original Star Wars movie, we've got those. I just love showing these things again and again, and many things that we have here that just go with the movie. Some of the things repeat. You know, of course, the main title, a lot of that repeats from movie to movie. Just see here, sheet music. This is one that I had a while back. Sheet music. If you can actually go play it, yes, you can actually play it. Woo, 360 or 270, I guess. But you know, these are the kind of the odd things, kind of cool, quirky things that really, really are neat to come across and to hold on to. Stunning says, yeah, I basically will watch the films and then pause after each scene so that I could draw the scenes and add dialogue and speech bubbles. Oh, really? Wow. That would be amazing to see. That is a cool idea. You really are an artist. You really have patience if you take the time to do that. That is quite amazing to hear that. That's not what I expected you to say, but I tell you, that is awesome. Man, I don't know how, dude, how do you do that? That's crazy. But hey, it is so it's wow. I mean, actually I tell you what, that's part of me with the art streams. Like I said earlier, I go to art streams that I don't, I'm good at, but that's what amazes me with you artists is how you can see something and you can draw it, and draw it accurately. That it's one thing to me, like to watch, like I said, with the reading book and things, taking the story and visualizing it, but to actually have to write it down, to draw it, to actually make it a physical manifestation, that's just amazing to me. That is amazing to me that y'all do that and have that ability. So, yeah. There's some other things that I've talked about here already. I just checking to see if there's a couple other things we can talk about that are Star Wars related. Let me see that we've already talked about some. I do want to try to have a Star Wars weekend special at some point from our old pictures and travels, but the last one we went to is 2015, which is 8 years ago. We did get to see Ian McDiarmid and Amy Allen. Ian McDiarmid, Emperor Palpatine. Amy Allen was Aayla Secura, the Jedi Twi'lek. That was a cool thing, and those would make for really good streams. We get to find the pictures on it, so we'll have a lot of fun with that. One of the other things, and a couple things I'm going to end probably with these. But we still got 13 of y'all hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying. I appreciate it. And it's good to have you here. This one, some of the parts are gone and stuff, but this is the old droid factory. The missus had put this in the chat. And actually, you had enough pieces here that you could build your own droids. You see an R2 head there. You got legs. You got wheels. Things like that. It's just to make your own droid. You got the crane, like you could be like you're an assembly line. That's neat. Up in the top right, see at the bottom here, you see Return of the Jedi classes we talked about on a stream a couple weeks ago about Jedi. Up in the top right are the Vinylmation characters that we got from Disney. Little Vinylmation characters. They got them all. Moff Tarkin, figuring Dan, of course. You got a Duros here. You got looks like Hoth Princess Leia. So this is a stream all of itself. If we take the pictures of these things, I think we have 3 or 4 sets of those that are like, oh my God, there's so many of them. They're everywhere. And Megatron saying, yeah, I'd take them to show and tell and embarrass myself by reading them to the class because I was a kid like the biggest Star Wars nerd. So I felt like I had to spread the word. And that's awesome. That is awesome to hear, though. That's what's so great, is that, having that passion for your franchise. That really is an important thing. Anybody can, that you feel that you love your franchise so much that you're out there to fight it, to spread the word. And it's like I mentioned my Clobby's channel with their 735 of the old Trek that's kind of their mission to defend what's the old Star Trek, and to find what the creator's original vision was for things like that. And to spread the word to other people, that it's good that it's there. And like you there, that's cool that you felt like you had to spread it. I mean, like some of us now feel like we have to spread what Lucas would have wanted or what he thought, so on the Star Wars side. But hey, embrace the nerditude and Onimus in all caps. I got nowhere else to go. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for hanging. So like I said, it's awesome to have you. Yeah, so it's just too funny to see. But hey, thanks for hanging for so long, guys, and stuff. And Mrs. said, I actually think most of the parts are there for the Droid Factory. Okay. Well, it does look like it down in there. If you look in here, all the divots, because it was a good boy and put all the little divots in. You got treads in different places. Yeah, yeah. This was one of those odd things that I talked when I mentioned my mom earlier. She bought this, and like I said earlier, I like to be careful how I say stuff because I don't mean disrespect, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that just she picked up that I didn't even ask for. It was one of those. One of those things that you're kind of like, you got socks for your birthday at the moment, and you're like, socks, that type of thing. That's kind of what, as a kid, it's kind of like that feeling. And that's why I try to talk very carefully how I say it, because I don't want to sound like I was unappreciative. But looking back, this is one of those things as an adult. I'm really thankful that my mom did what she did, because I appreciate it more, because it was different. It was odd. Everybody gets the Millennium Falcon. Well, not everybody. There's a lot that I know that have not gotten the Millennium Falcon. There's a lot of people that, got at walkers. There's things that they got that I didn't get. But, looking back now, 40 years later, this is really a treat. This is really a neat thing to, so this is really a treat to have something odd as a conversational piece here with that, and that's kind of what I'm looking at with. So that kind of thing. So it's awesome. So, well, we'll have to do another stream too on those Vinylmations in the background, because they are really, really cool to look at. If you see them, they're really, really neat and fun to have. So, all right. Well, let's see. I think that's about all that I've been able to figure out that without repeating too much of myself. So, we got Lance Peter. So, but yeah, we got other things that we've got. So I think on that note that, let's see. Let me do something real quick. So, hey, but hey. All right. Well, yeah. Yeah, I was too poor, didn't get crap. And that's why Anonymous, I try to watch how I come off and how I say. I don't want it to come off wrong, because I did get a lot of things. My parents were self-employed individuals, so whatever they did buy was, really hard. We didn't have a lot of money, but we got what we needed to. When they bought me the Millennium Falcon one Christmas, that was huge. That was a huge thing, and I've always cherished that. The Death Star station was one that I got for Christmas or sometime one time, and it was like amazing. And that thing, oh gosh, that's so I'm grateful for what I got, and that's why I want to make sure that when I talk that I do appreciate, because my mom made sure stuff was taken care of. She made sure it was in good condition. When I was done with it, she put it up. So, it was awesome. But yeah. Oh my goodness. We've been going 3.5 hours though, folks. So unless anybody else has got anything else to say, let me know if you got anything that you got we'll try to string it out for another minute and a half so we can get to 3.5 hours. So, and Stunning said we didn't have any actual toy lightsabers till we went to Disneyland when it was 8 or 9. Yeah, I think, yeah, because that was Disney. Probably back when they were doing Star Wars weekends and stuff like that. And California, I may have done stuff different than Orlando, but see, Orlando had the Jedi Training Academy as part of Star Wars weekends, and they added it full time. So, of course, then they started selling lightsabers like crazy. So, before Galaxy's Edge, so it's all kind of, it's a matter of timing with things like that. Because I remember there was one, and I wish I still had it. The precursors to the lightsaber. You know what? The hell with this. You know what? Y'all, like Anonymous said, got nowhere. Let me see if I can try to find something. I want to Dadman Boomer it for now. So, we got 12 of y'all waiting still here. Let me see if I can find something real quick. There was a lightsaber that was out in the 70s with the original movie. And of course, I don't have it anymore because it broke. You would understand that and all that stuff. If I can find a picture of it, I'm trying to Google it right now. From the 70s. Oh my gosh. No. So bear with me because the lightsabers are plastic now, this, that, and the other, all that stuff. They're all hardened and stuff like that. Gosh, let me see. Let me see if I can rearrange. Let me see. Ooh. Let's see. Oh gosh, according to eBay, the page is missing. So, let me see. Trying to find this. Yes, I found it. Yes, I found it. I will bring it up in just a second. Let me get to you guys in the chat. I made friends with a rich kid down the street and played with the Star Wars toys. Was that you? Oh, no. And it's Whoopa is like, I can show you a stick we used to act like they were lightsabers. LOL. But me and my brother would just take a roll from wrapping paper and color our lightsabers to beat each other with. Brian Hepburn said we use wiffle ball bats for lightsabers. Yes, they're good. I think wrapping paper tube lightsaber is best. But listen, folks, here's something good here. I had one of these. I wish if it would have been available in the eBay shop, I would tell the missus buy it for me now. But here we go up to here. We are going here. There. This is the precursor to all lightsabers. Screw the plastic, screw the light ups, all the other stuff. This was a friggin' 1977 Star Wars inflatable lightsaber. Okay? You see, you got the thing there. Okay, see, here's the box. You got Obi-Wan, Luke, Darth Vader. I don't remember if they came in multiple colors. I don't know that they got that far. But here, there it is. It's like a friggin' flashlight. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. All right, so let's see. Down here, it's a tube. I know, don't make comments. I know we're after hours, but you can refrain from the comments out there. But it's just a plastic tube and a lightsaber, and you blow up the tube and you attach it to the lightsaber, and ta-da! You had a lightsaber. Exactly, Brian Hepburn. That's why they're not around. Is they didn't last long. You imagine anything with a tube these days. It's just, it's just really, really, really cool to see. It's just incredible. I mean, what they came up with back then was a tell of the times and the technology that they had available. It's just amazing to see that they were able to produce these type of things. But it was like it says, it looks so sad when it's deflated. But all you need is there's a flashlight and an inflated tube. You got a lightsaber, and the John Holmes lightsaber. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you. I know. I knew somebody was going to go there. So, but hey, y'all are awesome. Y'all are so. We got 15 people here now. Wow. How you guys are awesome. Y'all rock. And it's just make sure y'all hit that like button, sub if you haven't already. But thanks for hanging out. And this is something that came up, like I said, in the original movies that I since we were talking lightsabers, here is one. A lot of times you can find some of the stuff on eBay. I've found some things on eBay before that we bought, but I think if you find this one, it's going to be very rare, especially if it still inflates. So, you know, you know, yeah. So, yeah. So it is crazy to see what they had back then and what we did for entertainment and how we made things out of nothing. But like I said, like Brian said, it did not last long. There was no way. If you got any inflatable tubes or anything like that now, you know how it is keeping them to do that. Yeah, you could try. Find a flashlight. The thing is getting that I think it had a fitting though to make where the tube would connect to the flashlight though. That was the thing, and that would be one of the things that you'd have to do is make sure you get the connection with it. So anyway, but hey, that was a fun thing. Thank y'all for the memory on that. I appreciate that, and that was awesome to come up with that. That's a toy that I have not seen in a long, long time, and glad that we taught lightsabers for that moment to bring that back. All righty. Well, on that note, let me see where we are with things. Let me stop sharing that. Let me bring this up. Let me do this. So, all right. Well, I think on that note, we let's see. Stunning says, my dream is to get my brother and sister-in-law to dress as Han and Leia for Halloween, then get my niece to dress as Jaina and me as Luke. I could be Uncle Luke from the EU. There you go. That would be awesome. All right. That would be really, really good to see from you. And if you do, you got to send us pictures. We won't dox you or anything else like that, but blot out your faces, put Megatron faces on everything. So that kind of thing. So but yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah, Megatron, you could put Megatron Transformer faces on everybody. That would be awesome to see Megatron. But yeah. All righty. Well, so I think that's about all I've got. We've gone 3.5 hours. Unless anybody has any other memories about Empire Strikes Back, thank y'all for it. We got 15 of y'all still hanging in with us to the very end. I've been talking forever, and I think that's about all I've got for the night. Unless you guys have some other memories that you want to share, we closed all the polls down. And thank you for sharing your memories. Thank you for sharing what you liked. The quotes through the movies. Thank you guys, because there are many quotes that I had forgotten about, and I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate y'all being here. As Brian says, have a great week, everyone. Remember, this is probably the last. JT Kirk, hey, yeah, absolutely, JT Kirk. It's awesome, and it's awesome we've held so many of you guys for so long in 3.5 hours. It's been awesome, and you guys are what bring joy to this and make this all worth it. Your feedback, y'all participating, just being here, and thank you for support. Tell others about the channel, get them to come sub. Hey, I kicked myself off my own show. I hit the right click button. Oop. Yep, exactly. Yes, exactly. I did that myself. But thank y'all for all being here. Let's see. Anonymous. I got to live a fantasy through my kid a few years ago. Made a Han Solo costume for a kid. They did a Star Wars float in a school parade. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Stunning needs a redhead to be his Mara Jade. Yeah, I right-clicked the wrong button at the bottom of the ScreenYard thing. And yes, it takes talent. I'm Dadman. A special talent, that is. So let me do my closeout slide real quick. And then there, probably that's a sign to call it a night. But folks, this will be the last regular stream for a few weeks. Like I said, we'll be on the road. Hopefully, we'll kind of experiment with some lives and some shorts on the road. But, tomorrow night I may do some gaming with some Atari stuff. But hey, listen, thank you all for being here. Check out all of our live streams and videos at youtube.com and twitch.tv at dadmanwalking55. And streaming schedule. Always check us out on Dadman Walking 55. Keep up the latest on the trips and when we do stuff, food stuff, all that kind of stuff, and when we go live. And yeah, no, it was not you. That was me doing it to myself this time. So hey, folks, on that note, hey, thank you all for your support. Get the word out about the channel. Go share, subscribe. Get others to come in and we'll grow the bigger. And I tell you what, thank you to all of y'all for hanging out with me for 3.5 hours tonight, almost 4. Y'all rock. Y'all are awesome. And thank you all for your support. And a night to use too, Stunning. And on that note, y'all have a good night. Catch you later. Bye, all.